Chapter 67. When is it? Lin Yi agreed. If he let Luo Bingyue go with her fellow disciples in the Heavenly Sea sect, he wouldn't be at ease. Although he was only an ordinary outer sect disciple, he really didn't take those prodigies of the inner sect seriously. Today, Luo Bingyue was overjoyed when she saw Lin Yi agree. She originally planned to go alone with her fellow disciples if Lin Yi was cultivating or if he didn't have time to go. This mystic realm adventure was a good opportunity. The main reason was that she realized that the distance between her and Lin Yi was increasing. It was obviously impossible to strengthen herself by cultivating in the Heavenly Sea sect. Then let's go. Lin Yi was stunned. He didn't expect it to be so urgent. Fortunately, he had nothing to do now. Afterward, Luo Bingyue left the Heavenly Sea sect with Lin Yi and headed to the Heavenly Sea City Plaza. Soon, the two of them arrived at the Heavenly Sea City Plaza. Sister Luo, over here. The two of them had just arrived at the Heavenly Sea City Plaza when a voice entered their ears. Lin Yi looked in the direction of the voice and saw a few young men and women looking over. One of the young men waved at Luo Bingyue with a face full of confidence. It's them, Lin Yi said in a low voice when he saw them. Luo Bingyue nodded and walked towards them with Lin Yi. Lin Yi scanned them with his divine telekinesis and saw through their cultivation. 4 at the 9th level of the manifestation realm, 4 at the 8th level of the manifestation realm, and 3 at the 7th level of the manifestation realm. There were 7 men and 4 women, and all of them were handsome and beautiful. Seeing Luo Bingyue's arrival, the youths had confident smiles on their faces. However, when they saw Lin Yi, they couldn't help but be startled. A trace of coldness flashed through their eyes, but it was mostly disdain. Sister Luo, who is he? The young man who greeted Luo Bingyue asked Luo Bingyue as he sized up Lin Yi. His name was Chunfeng, and he was at the peak of the 9th level of the manifestation realm. When he saw Luo Bingyue for the first time, he was stunned. He was amazed by Luo Bingyue. He had already made up his mind to pursue Luo Bingyue. When he discovered that Luo Bingyue was only a heaven star boarder, he was even more delighted. With such a cultivation, with his talent, cultivation, and strength, it was definitely a game. It just so happened that he and his fellow disciples were about to enter the secret territory and wanted to bring Luo Bingyue along. In the secret territory, he would get closer to Luo Bingyue. Who would have thought that Luo Bingyue would bring a youngster over? What was even more hateful was that this youngster was only an ordinary outer sect disciple. Lin Yi. I want to bring him along. Luo Bingyue was a woman of few words, and her voice was very cold. However, her tone was calm. When she spoke, her beautiful eyes looked at the few young men and women. Isn't an outer sect disciple a burden? That's right. Sister Luo, bringing an outer sect disciple will not only not help us, but will also be a burden. If he goes, he will be taking an extra share of the gains. Forget it. He will just be sending himself to his death if he goes. People can be trash, but they can't be ignorant. Sigh. When they heard that Luo Bingyue wanted to bring Lin Yi along, the few young men were instantly stunned. Then, they laughed as though they heard a joke. They looked at Lin Yi as though they were looking at an idiot. Bringing Luo Bingyue along was completely because of Luo Bingyue's looks. Sister Luo, if you bring any inner sect disciple, we will accept it. But you can't bring an outer sect disciple. To be honest, for his own good, don't bring him. He will just be sending himself to his death, and will even be a burden to us. Don't you think so? Chunfeng opened his mouth. His tone was calm. It gave people a feeling that his words were sincere and earnest, as though he was doing it for Lin Yi's sake. Then I won't go either. Luo Bingyue's voice was extremely cold. There was not the slightest trace of emotion in her tone. Although her voice was ice-cold, her current voice was completely different from before. That was because she was truly angry now. Of all the things her fellow disciples shouldn't have done, they shouldn't have looked down on Lin Yi. Sister Luo, you're too serious. It's okay to bring him along, but when we encounter danger, don't be a burden to us. When Chen Feng saw Luo Bingwe protecting an outer sect youth like this, he became even angrier. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to be gentlemanly, he really would have torn Lin Yi to pieces to vent the hatred in his heart. As he spoke, he glared fiercely at Lin Yi. He had already started to plan in his heart. When they reached the secret territory, he would find a chance to kill this young man. From start to finish, Lin Yi did not speak. His state of mind was extremely calm. Because, in his eyes, these so-called Heaven's Pride experts were just a bunch of trash. If it wasn't for Luo Bingwe going to experience the world, he would not want to stay with a bunch of trash. Let's go. A young man named Lu Dong opened his mouth and said. Immediately, the group left Tianhai Square and walked out of Tianhai City. After 2 hours, they finally left Tianhai City. Outside Tianhai City was the endless sea. Then, Lu Dong led everyone onto a large ship and left Tianhai City. The only means of transportation was the ship or flying beasts, but flying beasts were too precious and hard to find, and ordinary people could not own one. Moreover, flying demonic beasts couldn't fly too far in the sea. On the ship, Lin Yi sat cross-legged alone on the side and began to cultivate. As for the others, they were chatting and laughing happily, and they directly ignored Lin Yi. Although he was cultivating, Lin Ye's divine thought had been monitoring the situation of the entire ship in his mind, and every movement here could not escape his eyes. Of course, he also learned from the discussion of Chen Feng and the others that the secret territory was on an island thousands of miles away from Tianhai City. With the speed of this ship, they could reach it in 3 days. At the same time, in the vast sea, a pitch-black warship was gliding rapidly at an extremely fast speed. On the warship, there were millions of Phenomenon Realm experts. These experts emitted a mysterious evil aura. Young Master has taken a fancy to the thing in that secret territory. So, we must get that thing back at all costs. On the warship, a black-robed old man spoke. His entire body emitted a powerful aura. This subordinate obeys. Young Master Ailey has an order. That treasure must be obtained. Otherwise, you will never have to return. In the sky above the sea, a huge flying beast spread its wings, which were 50 meters in size. Every time it flapped, the space trembled, and the sea surged, its momentum shaking the sky. On the back of the huge beast, there were more than 10 peak Phenomenon Realm experts emitting powerful auras. The aura of the leader was like that of an ancient beast. In 3 days, the ship approached an island. The island was half a mile in size, and it was bare, like a huge rock protruding out of the sea. Senior Brother Lu. This secret territory is unguarded, aren't you afraid of the evil path entering? Luo Bingwe looked at the bare island and asked. This was also what Lin Yi was curious about. The Heavenly Sea realm seemed to be dominated by the Heavenly Sea sect, but the truly powerful forces were the Fey God cult and the demonic sect. These two evil forces were extremely terrifying. Although the secret territory's entrance was very close to the Heavenly Sea City, it was inevitable that people from the Fey God cult and the Fey God cult would sneak in. Sister Luo, don't worry. This secret territory can only be entered by those below the Yin-Yang realm. Those above the manifestation realm and the Yin-Yang realm will instantly vanish. The Heavenly Sea sect doesn't prohibit people from the Fey God cult and the Fey God cult from entering, and they won't brazenly enter the Heavenly Sea sect's secret territory. Furthermore, this secret territory used to be guarded by experts, but as time passed, the resources inside were almost all looted by the Heavenly Sea sect's disciples, so there's no need to waste manpower guarding this place. Chen Feng revealed a seemingly knowledgeable expression as he explained the situation there to them. The secret territory's entrance was only 10,000 miles away from the Heavenly Sea City. The people from the Fey God cult and the demonic sect wouldn't dare to come here, at least not brazenly. Even if a few disciples from the Fey God cult and the demonic sect sneaked in, it wouldn't affect them much. After hearing Chen Feng's explanation, Luo Bingyue and Lin Yi roughly understood that this secret territory was basically abandoned by the Heavenly Sea sect, and there weren't many resources inside. Let's open the secret territory. Lu Dong glanced at Chen Feng and said. As he spoke, he took out 10 spirit stones. They walked towards an altar on the island. Lu Dong placed the 10 spirit stones on the altar, and the altar was immediately activated, and a magical light burst out from the altar. Let's go. Chen Feng called out to Luo Bingyue, and his figure flashed as he flew towards the altar. The others also quickly flew up, worried that they would miss the teleportation array. Rumble! Rumble! The altar let out a loud rumbling sound. More than 10 people had already gone up. Lin Yi reached out and grabbed Luo Bingyue's small hand. Luo Bingyue's delicate body stiffened as if she had been electrocuted, and a blush appeared on her beautiful and cold face. She wanted to break free, but she didn't. She knew that Lin Yi wasn't being frivolous, but he was worried that the teleportation array would randomly separate them. This teleportation array isn't random. When Chen Feng and the other youths saw Lin Yi holding Luo Bingyue's hand, they looked at Lin Yi coldly, as if they wanted to swallow Lin Yi alive. This was the hand of their goddess, and it wasn't something an ordinary outer sect disciple could hold. Lin Yi replied with a no. However, he didn't let go of Luo Bingyue's hand. Naturally, he knew the jealousy in the hearts of these inner sect prodigies. Humph! The youths snorted coldly. They had already calculated in their hearts that they would find a chance to kill this trash once they entered the secret territory. As the teleportation array was activated, more than 10 people disappeared in the light. Not long after Lin Yi and the others entered the secret territory, a pitch-black warship quickly glided towards them, and finally stopped at the edge of the island. The experts on the warship quickly activated the teleportation array and entered the secret territory. The warship quickly sank. In an instant, the warship disappeared, completely sinking into the sea. Not long after the warship disappeared, a flying demonic beast landed on the island. The expert on the flying demonic beast activated the teleportation array and entered the secret territory. Chapter 68. The spirit chi in the secret realm was dense. Chen Feng was right. This teleportation array wasn't random. Everyone who was teleported in would appear at the same place. Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue were naturally not separated this time. Seeing Luo Bingyue's blushing face, Lin Yi let go of Luo Bingyue's hand without a trace. Everyone, be careful. Lu Dong called out to the group and quickly ran into the distance. He had already received accurate information about this trip to the secret realm. He headed straight for the destination and didn't want to waste time here. Whoosh 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 whoosh! In an instant, a group of more than a dozen people spread out and followed Lu Dong. Apart from Luo Bingyue, who was in the Heaven Star realm, the others were all super experts in the manifestation realm. Moreover, they were in the 8th or 9th stage. Their running speed was extremely fast. Sister Luo, I'll carry you. After a while, Luo Bingyue gradually fell behind. At this rate, Luo Bingyue would be left behind in another 15 minutes, let alone reaching the destination. At this moment, Chen Feng's face was filled with excitement. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Seeing Chen Feng approaching Luo Bingyue, the other young men stopped in their tracks. They didn't want Chen Feng to win the beauty, but Chen Feng had already spoken. They regretted it. Thank you, senior brother Chen. Luo Bingyue saw Chen Feng reaching over and subconsciously took a step back. Immediately after, Luo Bingyue moved closer to Lin Yi and looked at Lin Yi. I won't bother you guys. Lin Yi opened his mouth and said. As he spoke, he reached out and pulled Luo Bingyue's hand. Let go. When Lin Yi pulled Luo Bingyue away, the faces of the youths present were extremely ugly. They wanted nothing more than to swallow Lin Yi alive. What right did Luo Bingyue have to reject them and follow an outer sect trash? The young men shouted at the same time. Why did you let go? Lin Yi said with a faint smile. As he spoke, he looked at Chen Feng and the others as if he was looking at idiots. Sister Luo, is someone an outer sect trash like you can touch? If you don't let go, I'll chop off your dog paws. Lu Dong glared fiercely at Lin Yi, releasing a powerful aura. A powerful aura rushed towards Lin Yi. He wanted to use his powerful aura to suppress Lin Yi and make Lin Yi retreat. At the same time, he wanted to let Luo Bingyuan know how powerful he was. Scram! Lin Yi said as he looked at Lu Dong. Even a clay figurine would be slightly uncouth. He didn't want to argue with these guys. It wasn't that he was afraid of them, but that he didn't want to argue with trash. He didn't want to ruin his mood. But since these guys had already come to this point, he naturally couldn't tolerate it anymore. Screech! The scene was eerily quiet. Lin Ye's words shocked everyone. They didn't expect that an outer sect trash would dare to speak to Lu Dong in such a manner. Was he crazy? Or was he stupid? You're courting death. Lu Dong was stunned for a moment before he reacted. The expression on his face was incomparably ugly. Being humiliated by an outer sect trash was simply a great humiliation. If Lin Yi was an inner sect elite, he wouldn't be so angry. But Lin Yi was just an ordinary outer sect disciple. To an inner sect elite, he was a complete piece of trash. Along the way, this trash didn't even dare to utter a word. Now, he was telling him to scram. In his anger, he threw a punch at Lin Yi. Within the secret territory, he could kill Lin Yi as he wished. Seeing Lu Dong attack, Chen Feng and the others were gloating. When they looked at Lin Yi, it was as if they were looking at a dead man. After all, Lu Dong was a super elite at the peak of Wanxian Peak Stage 9. Within the inner sect, he was also one of the elite prodigies. Lin Yi was an outer sect trash. In front of Lu Dong, he was a complete piece of trash. If he didn't die, who would? Seeing that Lu Dong's destructive fist was about to drown Lin Yi casually raised his hand and threw a punch at it. From Chen Feng and the others' point of view, Lin Yi was completely stunned. Otherwise, he wouldn't have tried to block it. Boom! However, just when everyone thought that Lin Yi was about to be smashed to death by Lu Dong, the two fists collided with each other. A burst of explosive sound rang out, and the air trembled strangely. The sound of blood spurting rang out. Chen Feng and the others' faces were filled with shock, as if they had seen a ghost. Because Lin Yi didn't move at all, and was completely unharmed. As for Lu Dong, his entire body was like a kite with a broken string, swaying and swaying. Fresh blood splattered in the air, drawing out a strange curtain of blood. His appearance was extremely miserable. What? Lu Dong was heavily injured. Was this a joke? At this moment, everyone could see Lin Ye's cultivation level. Peak of the 5th level of the Wanxiang stage. An outer sect disciple at the peak of the 5th level of the Wanxiang stage actually heavily injured Lu Dong, who was at the peak of the 9th level of the Wanxiang stage, with one punch. This was too shocking. This world was too crazy. Thud! Lu Dong's body fiercely fell to the ground 100 meters away. Fresh blood continuously flowed from the corner of his mouth. This scene fiercely shocked Chen Feng and the others. When they looked at Lin Yi, fear arose in their hearts. Was this still the trash they thought of? Lin Yi walked step by step towards Lu Dong. Lu Dong's face revealed a terrified expression when he saw Lin Yi walk over. That punch just now had caused him to be heavily injured. Now that he faced Lin Yi, he didn't have the strength to fight back at all. Do you still want me to let go? Lin Yi walked in front of Lu Dong and said indifferently. On his face was a harmless smile. No. Lu Dong's heart was terrified to the extreme. Others might not know, but that punch just now was meant to take Lin Ye's life. But he lost. He knew in his heart how terrifying Lin Ye's punch was. In front of that punch, he didn't have the slightest intention to resist. He still couldn't figure out how an ordinary outer sect disciple could be so strong. If you weren't from the Tianhai sect, You'd be dead today. You want to touch my Lin Ye's woman? Lin Yi said coldly. As he spoke, he reached out and grabbed Luo Bingyue's slender waist. With a gentle pull, he brought Luo Bingyue into his arms. Luo Bingyue's body stiffened, as if she had been electrocuted. When she heard Lin Ye's words, she was completely stunned. She was indeed Lin Ye's fiancée, but Lin Yi had cancelled the engagement. She didn't expect Lin Yi to say that she was his woman. Not only Luo Bingyue, but the others were also stunned. Are you speaking on behalf of Sister Luo? Chen Feng said coldly. He knew that Lin Yi wasn't simple, but he didn't care. Although Lu Dong had been injured by Lin Yi, in his eyes, it was just Lu Dong's carelessness. Otherwise, how could an ordinary outer sect disciple injure Lu Dong in one move? Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't be an ordinary outer sect disciple, but an inner sect prodigy. Chen Feng's words made everyone look at Luo Bingyue. They didn't believe that Luo Bingyue was Lin Ye's woman. If that was the case, then it was like a flower stuck in cow dung. Yes. Luo Bingyue was still in a daze. She was stunned by Lin Ye's words. She was happy but also nervous. Seeing everyone's gaze, Luo Bingyue nodded. From the beginning to the end, she didn't know what she had done. Especially Lin Ye's hand, which was still on her slender waist. She had never been in contact with the opposite sex, but now she was almost in Lin Ye's arms. She felt weak all over. Sister Luo, what's so good about him? When Chen Feng saw Luo Bingyue admit it, he almost collapsed. He hated Lin Yi to death in his heart. His murderous intent was getting stronger and stronger. He wanted to kill Lin Yi with one punch. Is he good? It's my business. Luo Bingyue's cold voice sounded. She couldn't do anything about Lin Yi. But to outsiders, she was still the cold goddess who kept people at arm's length. Good, very good. Lin Yi, do you dare to fight with me? Chen Feng showed a fierce expression. In his heart, he wanted to crush Lin Yi. You're not worthy. Lin Yi shook his head and said indifferently. There was a smile on his face, as if he was at ease. Coward, die. Chen Feng walked towards Lin Yi step by step. The aura around his body rose rapidly, and the strength of the peak 9th level of the manifestation realm was fully displayed. With him as the center, the space within 100 meters was constantly trembling. The power of the manifestation realm distorted space. When he was 10 meters away from Lin Yi, he waved his hand. In his hand, a long sword slashed out. Suddenly, a terrifying sword light went straight towards Lin Yi. Wherever the sword light passed, the space was pierced. Seeing Chen Feng's sword, the other Tianhai sect prodigies were shocked. They knew that Chen Feng was strong, but they didn't expect him to be so strong. They admitted that they couldn't withstand this sword. Seeing that Lin Yi was about to be killed by this sword, Lin Yi didn't move at all. He looked at Chen Feng indifferently. The Tianhai sect prodigies didn't understand this situation. Just as the sword light was about to fall on Lin Yi raised his hand and punched towards the sword light. This punch was casually thrown, and it was exactly the same as the one he used to attack Lu Dong. Ignorant! The Tianhai sect prodigies cursed in their hearts when they saw Lin Ye's action. Chen Feng and Lu Dong were both at the 9th level of the manifestation realm. But Chen Feng was much stronger than Lu Dong. Crack in everyone's sight. The sword light and the fist light collided, and a cracking sound was heard. Then, the sword light shattered, and the fist light rushed towards Chen Feng at an unstoppable speed. Puchi Chen Feng's chest was hit by the fist light, and a huge hole appeared. Blood spurted out, and he fell to the ground with a loud bang. The peak of the 9th level of the manifestation realm. Dead. He died just like that. Killed in one blow. A peak of the 5th level of the manifestation realm instantly killed a peak of the 9th level of the manifestation realm. The other prodigies of the Heavenly Sea sect had ugly expressions on their faces. When they looked at Lin Yi, their eyes were filled with fear and dread. Even a peak 9th level manifestation realm martial artist had been killed in one blow. They couldn't compare to Lin Yi at all. Why bother? Lin Yi said indifferently with a helpless tone. He didn't want to kill, but he was always provoked. He looked at the other Tianhai sect prodigies. Wherever his gaze passed, they couldn't help but lower their heads, not daring to look at Lin Yi. They all knew that Lin Yi didn't say anything along the way and kept a low profile. Instead, it was Chen Feng and the others who kept provoking and humiliating Lin Yi. Now, they all knew that Lin Yi just didn't want to cause trouble. He wasn't trash. Chapter 69. Lu Dong was severely injured and Chen Feng died. The Tianhai sect's prodigies were terrified. However, Lin Yi did not attack them. Next, Lu Dong led the way and the group continued to run forward. However, they did not dare to speak carelessly or provoke Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue along the way. Half a month later, the group ran quickly, and when they encountered powerful beasts, they either killed them or avoided them. Finally, Lu Dong led the group to a large mountain. Rather than a large mountain, it was more like a huge mountain range. The mountain range towered into the clouds and was shrouded in clouds. "This is the place," Lu Dong said. In half a month, his injuries had almost recovered, and he was extremely fearful of Lin Yi. Along the way, no one dared to provoke Lin Yi. A peak 5th level manifestation realm cultivator instantly killed a peak 9th level manifestation realm cultivator. With such strength, it would be strange if they were not afraid. "Have you been to this secret realm before?" Lin Yi looked at the mountain in front of him and asked. It was obvious that Lu Dong was very familiar with this place. He could come here directly without a map. Lin Yi naturally did not believe that he had never been here before. "No. Me neither. Never been here before." "No." Hearing Lin Ye's question, the Tianhai sect's prodigies all answered. Only Lu Dong did not answer. "I've been here a few times. But I didn't find anything." Lu Dong did not wait for Lin Yi to ask him, and had already spoken. He had been to this secret realm a few times. He knew about this place every time, but he did not have the strength to enter and could only return empty-handed. This time, his cultivation had reached the peak 9th level of the manifestation realm, so he naturally dared to invite others to come here. "Lu Dong, can you speak now?" Yang Kai, 9th level of the manifestation realm. His strength was slightly stronger than Lu Dong's. He was one of the top 3,000 prodigies of the Heavenly Sea sect. After coming to this mystic realm, Lu Dong was the first to invite him. However, Lu Dong never mentioned what treasure he had discovered. "Yeah, Lu Dong. It's time to say it now. Senior brother Lu." Hearing Yang Kai's question about Lu Dong, everyone's curiosity was piqued and they all turned to look at Lu Dong. Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue didn't open their mouths, but their eyes were fixed on Lu Dong. He, Lin Yi, was naturally not interested in this mystic realm. If it weren't for Luo Bingyue wanting to gain experience, he really wouldn't have come to this mystic realm. He had a lot of resources on him, so he wouldn't lack them for the time being. This secret realm was discovered tens of thousands of years ago. Back then, the Lu clan's old ancestor, who was also the Heavenly Sea sect's Grand Elder, came to this mystic realm when he was young and discovered this land of treasures. At that time, the old ancestor was at the peak of the 9th level of the manifestation realm. He obtained countless treasures, which allowed him to soar to the heavens and dominate the Heavenly Sea realm. However, the old ancestor never obtained the true treasure of this land of treasures. 5 years ago, I discovered the old ancestor's secret in the Lu clan's library, so I came to this land of treasures. However, my cultivation wasn't enough, so I obtained nothing. At this point, Lu Dong couldn't hide it anymore. He had no choice but to reveal the secret of how he discovered this land of treasures. He had come to this mystic realm 7 times. All 7 times he came here with nothing, because all 7 times he came here. Last time, He was at the 8th level of the manifestation realm and almost entered the land of treasures, but he left with regrets. A year later, he reached the peak of the 9th level of the manifestation realm and was very confident that he could enter the land of treasures. More importantly, the seal of the land of treasures was becoming more and more loose. Therefore, he invited the heavenly sea-sex prodigies to come here. Next, Lu Dong led the group towards the mountain peak. After entering the mountain peak, they found a passage in a secluded place. It was a passage made of bluestone. The passage was 5 meters tall and 5 meters wide. It was extremely humid and covered in moss. It was dark and gloomy. Lu Dong led the way in front, while Lin Yi and the rest followed behind. The deeper they went, the lower the passage went. 1 mile, 2 miles, after walking for more than 100 miles, the group finally reached the end of the passage. At the end of the passage was a mysterious light screen. The light screen flickered and emitted a destructive aura. "This is a hurdle. Be careful." Lu Dong looked at the light screen from afar, and his expression became serious. Last time, he had suffered a loss from this light screen. He had almost died under this light screen. Chi on the light screen, faint sounds kept coming. No one dared to be the first to pass through the light screen. Lu Dong looked at the others and walked towards the light screen first. When he arrived in front of the light screen, he circulated his true essence and unleashed the all creation's power. At the same time, a 9th-grade spirit treasure shield appeared and covered his entire body. Step by step, he walked towards the light screen. Crash! The 9th-grade spirit treasure shield was distorted by the light screen and shattered into pieces. The moment the shield shattered, Lu Dong had just passed through the light screen. Otherwise, his entire body would have been like a shield. Sizzle! Seeing this scene, the rest of the group couldn't help but sigh. The first hurdle was already so terrifying. They didn't know how many more dangerous obstacles there would be. Even if they entered, it was uncertain whether they could get any treasures. An 8th-grade all creations prodigy put up a defense. As soon as he touched the light screen, his defense was destroyed, along with his body. So terrifying. An 8th-grade all creations cultivator died under the light screen just like that. It was shocking and frightening. For a moment, they didn't dare to pass through the light screen rashly. They looked at each other, not knowing what to do. If they went forward, they might die. If they went back, it would be a wasted trip. "Let's go." Lin Ye's expression was calm, but his heart was filled with excitement and anticipation. Because he could see that there was a trace of freezing sky aurora in the light screen. Using the freezing sky aurora as a defense was indeed a big deal. There must be some incredible treasures inside. While speaking, Lin Yi held Luo Bingyue's small hand and walked towards the light screen. Then, with a stroke of his hand, a Taiji shield appeared in front of them. The Taiji shields, 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 Taiji shield was magical. Hissed under everyone's shocked gaze, Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue passed through the light screen and entered the other side. The Taiji shields, Taiji shields, Taiji shields, Taiji shields, Taiji shields, Taiji shield wasn't damaged at all. It didn't even tremble. The destructive light screen fell on the Taiji shields, Taiji shields, Taiji shields, Taiji shield. What's going on? So easy? That's not possible, right? Could it be that this light screen is cheating? Seeing Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue pass through the light screen so easily, everyone's jaws dropped. They couldn't believe their eyes. Lu Dong's 9th-grade spiritual shield was destroyed before he could pass through. Another 8th-level all-creation realm expert was killed when he touched the light screen. One could imagine how terrifying the light screen was, but Lin Ye's simple light shield was actually able to easily block the power of the light curtain. This was simply too shocking. However, Lin Ye's passing through the light screen was an indisputable fact. Chapter 70. Junior Brother Lin, Sister Luo. Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue passed through the light screen and appeared on the other side. On the other side of the light screen was a maze. When the two of them appeared, Lu Dong's voice sounded. It seemed like he had been waiting here, and didn't search for treasures alone. Senior brother Lu. Lin Yi called out indifferently. He could tell that Lu Dong didn't search for treasures alone. He must want to borrow everyone's strength. Otherwise, he wouldn't have invited so many people to this treasure land. Time passed by second. After 15 minutes, only 6 people passed through the light screen. Lu Dong, Lin Yi, Luo Bingyue, Yang Kai, Han Su, and Mo Ning. Lu Dong, Yang Kai, and Han Su were all at the 9th level of all creation. Mo Ning was one of the 4 women at the 7th level of all creation. Lin Yi was at the peak of the 5th level of all creation. Luo Bingyue had the lowest cultivation, only at the 9th level of Heaven Dipper realm. She was only 1 step away from the all creation realm. There were a total of 13 people who came to the secret realm this time. Except for 3 people who left, the others died. Chen Feng was killed by Lin Yi, and 3 people died under the light screen. This is the outer area, right? Lin Yi glanced at Lu Dong intentionally and said, "That's right. The ancestor has already searched this place. I came here once, but I found nothing." Lu Dong nodded. This place was indeed the outer area. The ancestor of the Lu family, who was also the former Grand Elder of the Tianhai sect, took away all the treasures in the outer area, but he couldn't enter the innermost area. "What about now?" Lin Yi asked. "Now we have to work together. Break the second barrier," Lu Dong said. After saying that, he walked forward. As long as he could enter, no matter how strong Lin Yi was, it wouldn't affect him. That was because he still had a backup plan. The treasures here were all his. If he could obtain the treasures here, he would soar to the heavens. Thinking of this, Lu Dong's face revealed a trace of pride. This place was like a maze. While Lu Dong, on the other hand, was very familiar with this place, as if it was his own home. Lin Yi extended his spiritual force outwards, but the stone walls here blocked his spiritual force. He could only extend his divine will to the front. With his divine telekinesis at level 34, his divine telekinesis could extend up to 10 miles. Time passed by second. A full 2 hours passed. Lu Dong brought Lin Yi and the others to the center of the maze. Altars, that's right, it was an altar. It was a huge altar. It had a diameter of 10 meters and a height of 2 meters. There was a light barrier above the altar. In order to break this light barrier, one had to either break the array formation or attack it forcefully. Obviously, Lu Dong wasn't an array master. Therefore, he chose to attack forcefully. Otherwise, he wouldn't have invited the other experts of the Tianhai sect. "Let's do it." Lu Dong looked at the light barrier and couldn't help but feel excited. As long as he could break this light barrier, he could enter the altar. The treasures in the altar would all be his. Rumble rumble suddenly, Lin Yi, Luo Bingyue, Yang Kai, Lu Dong, Mo Ning, and Han Su, the 6 of them displayed their powerful attack. A large number of attacks landed on the light barrier. For a moment, there was a slight fluctuation in the light barrier. Although it didn't tremble or break, there was a reaction. If this continued, it was only a matter of time before the light barrier was broken. Time passed by second. Half a quarter of an hour later, with a slight shattering sound, the light barrier shattered. Whoosh! Without hesitation, Lu Dong's figure flashed. He was the first to rush towards the altar. His entire person disappeared from the altar. Only after Lu Dong disappeared did the others react. Immediately, Lin Yi and the others also flew towards the altar, fighting to be the first one to enter the altar, and finally disappeared from sight. After passing through the altar, the 6 of them entered a hall. The hall was empty. This situation made several people involuntarily feel a wave of disappointment. But at this time, they didn't notice that a dark gold token appeared in Lu Dong's hand. The moment the token appeared, it suddenly burst out with a strong light. The light wrapped around Lu Dong and quickly disappeared. Damn it! Seeing this, Yang Kai and the others naturally knew that they had been tricked. Lu Dong invited them here, and it was completely a gift for Lu Dong. Now that Lu Dong had disappeared alone, needless to say, he must have entered the secret treasury. Lin Yi closed his eyes slightly. A moment later, he activated his divine telekinesis and shouted. Suddenly, a terrifying divine telekinesis spread out. This time, a strange scene appeared. The original hall disappeared, and what came with it was a space-time gate. There were a total of 9 space-time gates. Screech Yang Kai, Han Su, and the others were shocked when they saw Lin Ye's means. Lu Dong, you deserve to die. Han Su shouted loudly. Because they had already seen that Lu Dong had just entered a space-time gate. Don't talk nonsense. Lin Yi glanced at Han Su and said indifferently. Then, he looked at Luo Bingyue. He signaled Luo Bingyue to choose a space-time gate. They all understood that there must be magical treasures behind the space-time gate. Han Su, Yang Kai, and Mo Ning didn't dare to hesitate and hurriedly chose a space-time gate and walked in. For a time, only Lin Yi was left outside. Seeing that they had already entered the space-time gate, Lin Yi closed his eyes slightly. He slowly extended his divine telekinesis. A moment later, his figure flashed and walked towards one of the space-time gates. Pop! With a soft sound, Lin Yi walked through the space-time gate. What appeared in front of him was a radiance. The radiance was extremely cold. Seeing the radiance, Lin Yi was so excited that he almost shouted out. What was it that made Lin Yi so excited? This was the space-time gate that he had chosen, and he had used his divine telekinesis to sense it. Freezing sky aurora. The real freezing sky aurora. In Lin Ye's sight, it was a radiance. The radiance was extremely dazzling and extremely cold. It was the sacred stage martial skill, freezing sky aurora, that he had cultivated. However, the freezing sky aurora that he had cultivated was only a ray of light. It couldn't be considered an aurora at all. But here, it was endless freezing sky aurora. What made him even more excited was that in the center of the freezing sky aurora, there was a ball of radiance that was the size of a fist. That was the origin of the freezing sky aurora. All the freezing sky aurora was emitted by the origin of the aurora. The 3,000 heavenly axiom revolved and his divine telekinesis flowed. His state of mind calmed down and without any delay, he quickly absorbed the freezing sky aurora. At the same time, he walked step by step towards the center of the freezing sky aurora. He knew that out of the 9 space-time gates, each of the 6 of them had occupied one space-time gate. The remaining 3 would definitely be snatched by the faster ones. However, what made him disappointed was that the absorption of the freezing sky aurora was very, very slow. It had to be slow. If it was too fast, he wouldn't be able to bear it. He could only absorb it bit by bit. Time passed by minute. Unknowingly, 2 days had passed. He had completely forgotten the passage of time. His entire mind was absorbing the freezing sky aurora. As he absorbed, he refined and controlled it, making his sacred stage martial skill even more powerful. What made him happy was that the freezing sky aurora was constantly strengthening his martial skill and tempering his body. He was multitasking. He was circulating the Divine Dragon 9 transformations. He was circulating the Luo Water Sutra. He was circulating the freezing sky aurora. At the same time that Lin Yi was absorbing the freezing sky aurora, a terrifying change occurred outside the space-time gate. Outside the space-time gate, there were over 1 million Manifestation Realm experts. Moreover, these Manifestation Realm experts were all at the peak of the 9th level. Over 100 Manifestation Realm experts were divided into 2 camps. On one side, there were 100 of them, and all of them were dressed in black robes. On the other side, there were only 10 of them, but they were emitting a terrifying and destructive aura. They weren't any weaker than the 100 Manifestation Realm experts on the other side. Not far from these experts, Lu Dong, Mo Ning, and Yang Kai were kneeling on the ground. Their bodies were covered in wounds, and blood was constantly flowing out from their bodies and mouth. Their faces were pale. Chapter 71. You from the demonic sect, how dare you touch the things that belong to our young master Aolai? The elite that was emitting a destructive aura glanced at the 100 elite. Even though there were only 10 of them, he was not afraid at all. Because they were from the Fey God sect. The elites from the Fey God sect were all extremely powerful. They were almost invincible among their peers. The ones on the other side were from the demonic sect. The elites from the demonic sect were equally powerful. There were people from all walks of life, and their methods were vicious. Scram! Our young master has set his mind on that treasure. Aolai wants to go against our young master? Shueshio, who was wearing a black robe, said coldly. He was emitting an evil aura. As for the 3 heavenly sea sects prodigies, they were completely ignored. When all the treasures are gathered, I'll break your neck. I'll let you know that the Fey God sect is not something you can mess with. Yao Feng licked his lips as if he was looking at a delicious meal. He was not in a hurry to attack. Similarly, the elites from the demonic sect were not in a hurry to attack either, because they wanted to wait until all the treasures were gathered before they attacked. Now, only 3 of the heavenly sea sects prodigies had come out. There were 3 more that were not. Not to mention, there were still 3 elites from the demonic sect and the Fey God sect in the Gate of Time. The moment when Lin Yi and the others entered the secret territory, the elites from the demonic sect and the Fey God sect had also entered the secret territory. They had been tailing Lin Yi and the others, but they did not attack. Instead, they waited for Lin Yi and the others to get the treasures so that they could take advantage of them. Whoosh! After a while, a Fey God sect elite walked out of the Gate of Time. Then, he shook his head. 15 minutes later, a demonic sect elite walked out of the Gate of Time. This demonic sect elite walked up to his companions. He shook his head to show that he did not find what he wanted. 1 day later, Luo Bingyue walked out of the Gate of Time. The moment she came out, she was stunned by what she saw. She did not expect that something would happen outside. 2 days later, a demonic sect elite walked out of the Gate of Time. He walked up to his companions and shook his head. 3 days later, Han Su walked out of the Gate of Time. When he came out, just like Luo Bingyue, his expression changed. There's one more. There's one more. Shueshio from the demonic sect and Yao Feng from the demon god sect spoke at the same time when they saw Han Su. Both of them had expectant looks in their eyes and their auras were extremely evil. Among the 9 spacetime gates, only one of them was still closed. The other 8 space-time gates were open and the people inside had all come out. Hiss 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 within the freezing sky aurora, Lin Yi had already approached the ball of light. Origin aurora, the destructive aura was almost suffocating. In a full 3 days, Lin Ye's saint-ranked martial skill, Heavenly Frost Aurora, had long since reached the peak of the first stage. His Divine Dragon 9 transformations had reached the 3rd transformation, and his physique was several times stronger than before. He had already finished refining the freezing sky aurora. Only the origin aurora had not been completely subdued. Collect. After an unknown period of time, Lin Yi shouted softly. The freezing sky aurora was unleashed and wrapped around the origin aurora. Then, with a thought, the origin aurora entered the ninefold space. Originally, he wanted to subdue and refine the origin aurora here. Because the appearance of refining the freezing sky aurora, the space could not withstand it. However, time waited for no one. He had to take away the origin aurora first and think of a way to refine it in the future. The freezing sky aurora and the origin aurora disappeared. The space was completely empty. Lin Yi calmed down his excitement and walked toward the spacetime gate in a flash. He knew that he had used 3 days. The remaining 3 spacetime gates must have been occupied by others. However, obtaining the origin aurora was already a terrifying harvest for him. Hiss with a soft sound, Lin Yi passed through the spacetime gate. He appeared outside the spacetime gate. After coming out, the scene in front of him made him exclaim in surprise. More than 100 demonic sect experts and 10 devil god religion experts were already waiting here. Lin Yi. The fluctuation of the space-time gate and Lin Ye's appearance attracted everyone's attention. Seeing Lin Yi, Luo Bingyue shouted, "Hee hee! Finally out!" Shuexiu laughed, his eyes bloodthirsty. As long as he could kill a few humans, that treasure would be his. He could also report to the young master. He might even be able to perform meritorious deeds because of this treasure. Ants don't deserve to have such a good treasure. Shuexiu, tell me, how do you want to split it? Yao Feng grinned, revealing a bloodthirsty expression. His demonic aura soared to the sky, and his terrifying aura suppressed this space. Although there were only 10 people on his side, he was absolutely confident that he could destroy all of them. All the treasures here belonged to Shao Zun. The others could only dream of getting a share. Split? The devil god religion must be here to make fun of us. The young master wants everything here. Shuexiu laughed sinisterly. At this moment, his side had the absolute advantage, whether it was obvious or not. The devil god religion and the demonic sect were both evil. Here, they completely ignored the heavenly sea sect experts. Indeed, they had the ability and strength to do so. In their eyes, Lin Yi and the others were just a few weak ants that they could crush with a finger. Ignorant! Strangle! Yao Feng felt terrible after hearing Shuexiu's words. Instantly, his body changed rapidly. His aura soared, and his physique became violent. In an instant, he became 10 meters tall. There was a huge war hammer in his hand, which exuded a destructive aura. Even the space in front of him trembled. The other experts from the demon god religion also transformed quickly. At the same time, the experts from the demon god sect activated a powerful sacred weapon and pressed down on the demonic sect experts. Kill. The devil god religion expert also released a terrifying demonic aura. Suddenly, a terrifying battle broke out between the devil god religion and the devil god religion expert. As for the heavenly sea sect experts, they were completely ignored. This was because the aftermath of the battle between the devil god religion and the devil god religion experts could destroy the heavenly sea sect experts. When the battle ended, they could just take the treasures from the heavenly sea sect experts. In an instant, demonic aura filled the sky. Yang Kai and Lu Dong. The two of them died instantly. In front of the devil god religion's saint weapon, more than 30 devil god religion experts were killed instantly. 2 experts from the demon god religion had fallen. Lin Yi looked at the battle between the devil god religion and the devil god religion expert. He stretched out his hand and pulled Luo Bingyue away. Like a breeze, he disappeared from the attack range of the devil god religion and the devil god religion expert. From the beginning to the end, Lin Yi looked calm and emotionless. In just 10 seconds, the battle ended. There were only 30 devil god religion experts left. There were only 4 devil god religion experts left. Only Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue were left from the heavenly sea sect expert. Yao Feng, you can't use the saint weapon anymore, right? Then, I'll show you the power of the demonic blood drum. Shuexiu chuckled. Although the demonic sect had lost more than 60 manifestation realm elites, to him, it was like losing a few ants. In a world where the strong ruled, the most worthless thing in the eyes of the devil god religion was life. As soon as he finished his sentence, a war drum appeared in Shuexiu's hand. The war drum was filled with bloody aura and demonic aura. Shuexiu punched the war drum, and the space around it distorted. Boom boom, the demonic blood drum emitted a destructive bloody light. The bloody light charged towards Yao Feng and the other 3. On the ground, The bodies of the Devil God Religion and the Devil God Religion experts were instantly shredded into pieces by the bloody light. What was left were storage bags. Humph, Lin Yi snorted. He activated his divine telekinesis, which was at the peak of level 34, and quickly protected the two of them. The demonic blood drum not only had a terrifying physical attack, but it also had a domineering soul attack or sound wave attack. In an instant, Yao Feng and the other three were in agony. They spat out mouthfuls of blood. Then, their bodies were shredded into pieces by the bloody light. They could not be more dead. From the start of the battle between the Devil God Religion and the Devil God Religion to the end, the entire battle took less than 20 seconds. The 10 Devil God Religion experts were all dead, and there were only about 30 Devil God Religion experts left. As Shuexiu looked around and saw that Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue were unharmed, he could not help but exclaim in surprise. Then, a bloodthirsty smile appeared on his face. Chapter 72. Die. The Blood Elementalist looked at Luo Bingyue and Lin Yi. With a roar, he punched the demonic blood drum. Suddenly, the demonic blood drum emitted a bloody light. Wherever the bloody light passed, the space was penetrated. Humph, Lin Yi snorted. With a wave of his hand, the freezing sky aurora burst out. Instantly, a ray of light flew towards the bloody light. The freezing sky aurora was 2 meters wide and 5 meters long. It was like a belt of light. It was extremely cold and destructive. Wherever it passed, the space was destroyed. Splash with a soft sound, the bloody light and the cold sky aurora collided. The bloody light was instantly extinguished, as if it had evaporated into thin air. It had completely vaporized. However, the power and speed of the freezing sky aurora did not decrease. It flew past the Blood Elementalist's body. The Blood Elementalist's body was destroyed. The demonic sect experts behind him were in a daze. They were extremely shocked. Before they could react, the freezing sky aurora had already arrived. In an instant, the demonic sect experts who were hit by the freezing sky aurora were either killed or injured. The second level of the freezing sky aurora was extremely powerful. All dead. Lin Ye's voice was extremely calm. However, he was not calm when he attacked. With a wave of his hand, the freezing sky aurora appeared again. When the freezing sky aurora landed on the demonic sect experts, they were destroyed. In just 3 seconds, all the demonic sect experts present were killed. Luo Bingyue's beautiful face was filled with shock. She could not believe what she had just seen. She did not expect Lin Yi to be so powerful. The demonic sect experts, who were at the peak of all creation level 9, were like ants in front of him. Silence, silence. They are all dead. After a long time, Luo Bingyue woke up from her stupor. She muttered to herself. When she left the space-time portal and saw so many demonic sect and devil god religion experts, her heart sank. She knew that they were doomed. However, she did not expect Lin Yi to solve all of this so easily. Lin Ye's strength was a huge blow to her. Whoosh whoosh. Whoosh whoosh. Let's go. In a flash, Lin Yi collected all the storage bags on the ground. He took all the storage bags and treasures from the experts of the Demon God sect and the Demon sect. After finishing everything, he pulled Luo Bingyue and quickly left. This was definitely not a place to stay for long. Since he had been targeted by the demonic sect and the Fey God religion, he had no choice. In that case, it would be dangerous for him to stay here. A moment later, Lin Yi pulled Luo Bingyue out of the hall. Following the passageway, they rushed out. Luo Bingyue's beautiful face flushed red. She was extremely shy, but in her heart, there were traces of happiness and joy. This feeling almost made her fall. I'm finally out, Lin Yi said. His eyes scanned the surroundings as he extended his divine sense. Within a radius of 10 miles, everything was in his mind. Are we going back now? Luo Bingyue asked Lin Yi softly. More than a dozen people came on this adventure, but now only the two of them were left. Let's find a place first. Let's count our gains this time. Linyi had a smile on his face. Every time he gained something, he would be happy. This time was no exception. Okay. Luo Bingyue nodded. Then, the two of them quickly ran away. Just as Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue left the mountain peak, a small hummingbird flew up. The moment the hummingbird flew up, a mysterious ripple appeared in the air. The hummingbird quickly entered the ripple and disappeared. The Heavenly Sea sect recruited disciples once every 10 years. 10 years were about to pass, and the day of recruitment was coming. Every time, the Heavenly Sea sect would recruit 3,000 genius disciples. Those who could enter the Heavenly Sea sect were either geniuses with emperor physiques or experts above the manifestation realm. These 3,000 disciples were the cream of the crop after being selected by countless geniuses. Instantly, countless experts and geniuses from the Heavenly Sea realm rushed to the Heavenly Sea city. The Heavenly Sea city was already overcrowded. The taverns and inns were already full. Demon God cult, demon cult. They are eyeing the Heavenly Sea sect. I wonder what's going on at the Heavenly Demon Canyon? Heavenly Sea sect, Heavenly Sea Palace. This was the deepest part of the Heavenly Sea sect, the meeting place of the highest level. At this moment, more than a dozen peerless experts of the Heavenly Sea sect were gathered in the Heavenly Sea Palace. Every one of them was the most powerful existence in the Heavenly Sea sect. They could make the Heavenly Sea realm tremble with a stomp of their feet. Sitting at the head of the table was the current Heavenly Sea sect master. He was the Heavenly Sea sect master, Murong Tianjing. Sect master, guarding the Heavenly Demon Canyon is fine for now. However, the seal of the Heavenly Demon Canyon has already loosened. The one who spoke was one of the 10 great elders of the Heavenly Sea sect, Elder Xueshi. The Heavenly Demon Canyon had always been guarded by 2 elders to ensure that there would not be any trouble. At the same time, the elders guarding the Heavenly Demon Canyon had to send messages to the Heavenly Sea sect every day, reporting every movement in the Heavenly Demon Canyon. The Heavenly Sea sect could even watch the images of the Heavenly Demon Canyon at any time. We can't let the demon cult open the Heavenly Demon Canyon. Otherwise, the Heavenly Sea realm will be destroyed. Experts from the Demon God cult and Demon cult appeared in Secret Realm 03. What's going on? First Elder Zhao Qingyu sat at the head of the table. His status in the entire Heavenly Sea sect was extraordinary. He looked at the other elders and asked in confusion. These elders were not one of the 10 great elders. They were just ordinary elders in charge of daily affairs and were in the Yinyang realm. There's such a thing? Murong Tianjing was startled when he heard the first elder's words. It was definitely not a simple matter to catch the first elder's attention. Sect Master, First Elder. Many experts from the Demon God cult and Demon cult have entered Secret Realm 03. There are also Yinyang realm experts guarding outside the secret realm. The External Affairs Elder replied. He explained the situation outside Secret Realm 03. There were many secret realms in the Heavenly Sea sect. These secret realms were numbered. Secret Realm 03 was the secret realm under the island thousands of miles away from the Heavenly Sea city. That secret realm was thousands of miles away from the Heavenly Sea city. It was at the doorstep of the Heavenly Sea sect. Generally speaking, people from the Demon God cult and Demon cult would not dare to come here. More importantly, the treasures and resources in that secret realm had already been searched. The remaining treasures were all dangerous places that no one dared to set foot in. It was almost an abandoned secret realm. Did the disciples of the Heavenly Sea sect enter Secret Realm 03? First Elder frowned and asked hurriedly. If the Demon cult and the Demon God cult could enter Secret Realm 03 at the same time, it meant that the Demon cult and the Demon God cult had found some incredible treasure in Secret Realm 03. Otherwise, the Demon cult and the Demon God cult would not take the risk. before the demon cult and the demon god cult entered the secret realm. The inner disciples of the Heavenly Sea sect, Yang Kai, Lu Dong, Chun Feng, and Luo Bingyue, entered Secret Realm 03. The External Affairs Elder reported all the people who had entered and left Secret Realm 03 during this period. For a moment, the Heavenly Sea Palace fell silent. All of the elders had ugly expressions on their faces. A treasure had appeared in their secret realm, but they did not know that the demon cult and the demon god cult had gotten it first. Send someone to keep an eye on it. The sect master knew the seriousness of the matter. He quickly asked the External Affairs Elder to send someone to guard Secret Realm 03. Chapter 73. In a hidden cave in the Mystery Land. Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue, one was cultivating, the other was counting the spoils of war. The one cultivating was naturally Luo Bingyue. The one counting the spoils of war was Lin Yi. The two were in the cave. Luo Bingyue went in and started cultivating. The ambiguous atmosphere in the cave was reduced a lot. With Luo Bingyue's personality, she was naturally embarrassed to be alone in a cave with Lin Yi. She could only use cultivation to get rid of the awkwardness. After a full 2 hours, Lin Yi counted all the items. There were 100 experts from the demonic sect and 10 experts from the devil god religion. All the wealth was in Lin Yi's hands. There were all kinds of materials, spiritual stones, demonic weapons, spiritual weapons, and sacred weapons. However, Lin Yi did not care about these items. What he cared about were the treasures in the 9 spacetime portals. He had obtained the Heavenly Frost Aurora and the Origin Aurora behind one of the spacetime portals. He believed that there should be good gains behind the other 8 spacetime portals. Except for Luo Bingyue, Yang Kai and the others' gains were all in Lin Yi's storage bag. 1 cauldron, 1 sword, 1 scroll of cultivation method, 1 martial technique, 1 ball of radiance, 1 tree, 1 jade bottle. The cauldron was the size of a palm and exuded an ancient aura. The sword was extremely exquisite and gave people a feeling of extreme sharpness. The cultivation method was called the Starry Sky Divine Technique, a sacred level. The martial technique was called the Azura Hell, a sacred level. The radiance was a sacred source. The tree was called the Chaotic Divine Tree, a small sapling. The jade bottle contained 10 drops of cleansing fire. Except for Luo Bingyue, who obtained the treasure behind one of the 9 spacetime portals, the rest were all in Lin Yi's hands. Seeing the magical treasures here, Lin Yi could not help but tremble. As for the wealth of the demonic sect and the devil god religion, it was nothing compared to the treasures behind the spacetime portals. Bingyue, you are behind the spacetime portals. What did you get? Lin Yi asked Luo Bingyue after putting all the items into the 9-fold space. Needless to say, the experts from the demon sect and the devil god religion were after the treasures behind the doors of time and space. However, no one knew how the demon sect and the devil god religion got the news and what treasures they were after. I found the heart of ice essence inside, Luo Bingyue replied. She had chosen the gate of space and time, and the things she had obtained from it were just right for her. The heart of ice essence. After fusing with the heart of ice essence, her cultivation soared without the slightest hindrance. Now, he had reached the 6th level of all creation, directly crossing 7 levels. His level was even higher than Lin Yi's. Although she still had a sovereign body, it was already a peerless sovereign body, which was similar to an ordinary saint body. I wonder how much the demonic cult and Fey celestial cult know about this place. Lin Yi thought in his mind. The demonic cult and Fey celestial cult took the risk to come to this secret realm, so they should have some understanding of the treasures inside. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come to the secret realm in front of the Heavenly Sea sect. Moreover, this mystic realm was basically worthless now. They came for the soul suppression cauldron. The demons and monsters know about the existence of the soul suppression cauldron. As soon as Lin Yi finished speaking, a voice appeared in his mind. This voice almost caused Lin Yi to be shocked to death. After all, this voice came from his mind. It would be strange if he wasn't afraid of such a strange thing. Who are you? Lin Yi used his divine telekinesis and quickly checked his sea of consciousness. He found a faint light in his sea of consciousness. This light wasn't the sword light of the heart of the sword, but a divine sense or divine telekinesis. Seeing this, he quickly used his divine telekinesis to communicate. How terrifying it was that an outsider appeared in his mind. My name is Biluo. The voice was clear and crisp, but it was old-fashioned. It was as if she was superior. Why are you in my sea of consciousness? Lin Yi was sure that it was a woman in his sea of consciousness. He didn't know what she looked like or her age, because it was just a divine telekinesis in his sea of consciousness. It hadn't taken on a human form yet. But why was this woman in his mind? It was simply shocking. I was in the heavenly frost aurora. When you were refining and absorbing the heavenly frost aurora, I entered your sea of consciousness. The woman called Biluo said indifferently. That arrogance was innate. You want to take over my body? Lin Yi thought of a terrifying thing. Could it be that this woman called Biluo wanted to take over his body? If so, that would be terrifying. Take over your body? What a joke! From Biluo's tone, it was obvious that she was stunned. After a moment, Biluo reacted and chuckled as if she was mocking Lin Yi. Then why don't you come out? If you don't want to take over my body, what do you want to do? Lin Yi naturally didn't believe Biluo's words. With an outsider in his mind, no one would be at ease. This was worse than being a thorn in his flesh, because this was a matter of life and death. It might even turn him into a walking corpse. Don't worry, I won't take over your body. Firstly, you're a man. Secondly, your divine telekinesis is strange and your fate is strange. I can't take over your body. Thirdly, even if I take over your body, it won't be of much help to me. Biluo's voice sounded. She said 3 reasons why she wouldn't take over his body. This made Lin Yi feel a little more at ease, but he still didn't completely believe Biluo. So you've been in my sea of consciousness all this time? Lin Yi asked. Until now, he didn't know what to do. If his divine telekinesis had reached level 40, he would have directly erased Biluo. But he didn't have the ability to do so now, so he was in a dilemma. Definitely. But you're lucky to have met me. I can help you. Of course, when you're strong enough, you have to help me too. Biluo admitted that she would always be in Lin Yi's sea of consciousness. But she could help Lin Yi a lot. The condition was that when Lin Yi was strong enough, he had to help her and let her leave his sea of consciousness to be herself. What can you help me with? Lin Yi was helpless. He had no choice but to take one step at a time. A trace of curiosity arose in his heart. He didn't know how this Biluo could help him. Just with a trace of divine telekinesis? Was that possible? He naturally didn't believe it. Although I'm only a trace of divine telekinesis now. But I have memories that can help you with your cultivation. You can refine the soul suppression cauldron, and I'll help you guard your divine telekinesis. I can lend you great power, Biluo said confidently. After that, she didn't speak anymore, giving Lin Yi time to digest the shock that she had just brought to him. Lin Yi fell into deep thought, digesting the shock and impact that Biluo had brought to him. Time passed by minute by minute. After a full 15 minutes, Lin Yi finally calmed down. You can see things outside? You said this cauldron is the soul suppression cauldron? Holding the palm-sized cauldron, Lin Yi asked. Chapter 74. The soul-suppressing cauldron is an ancient magical treasure. It can condense divine will and suppress the divine soul. As long as the divine soul is indestructible, one will live forever and not be afraid of reincarnation. Biluo's voice sounded in Lin Ye's mind. He could tell from her voice that she was very familiar with the soul-suppressing cauldron. At least, she knew what it was. As long as the divine soul is indestructible. As long as the divine soul is indestructible. Lin Yi seemed to understand, but his eyes were shining. If one's divine will was really powerful and the divine soul was indestructible, it would be possible for the divine soul to be indestructible even after the physical body was destroyed. As long as the divine soul was still there, one would be immortal. However, could one really reach that step? That's right. This girl with you is not bad. Biluo's divine will answered Lin Yi. She could also see Luo Bingyue, who was cultivating in the cave. She could see everything outside. She could even see things that couldn't be seen with her eyes. You want to condense your divine soul with the soul-suppressing cauldron, right? Lin Yi was shocked. Although he did not show it on his face, he was also shocked. He did not expect Biluo to be able to see Luo Bingyue. You're half right. Let's get out of here first. At the same time, put the chaotic divine tree in your space. It's very useful. Little guy, you'll be tired in the future. There was a hint of anticipation in Bai Luo's voice. She also seemed to be waiting to see a joke. Okay. Lin Yi agreed. As long as Biluo was not harmful to him, it was fine. Then, he used his divine will. He put the chaotic divine tree into the ninefold space and planted the sapling in the center of the ninefold space. He did not know what the chaotic divine tree was for. You have to make sure the chaotic divine tree survives. You have to find the 5-colored divine stone, heavenly heart divine fruit, 1,000 spirit water, heavenly annihilation cleansing fire, and the sacred source. Biluo spoke again after Lin Yi planted the chaotic divine tree. This time, Lin Yi couldn't help but be stunned when he spoke. Although he didn't know what these things were, he could tell from their names that they weren't simple. Just the cleansing fire of heavenly annihilation and the saint's source alone were miraculous treasures. This was because he had the cleansing fire of heavenly annihilation and the saint's source. Both of them were treasures that he had obtained this time. Then the 5-colored divine stone should be on the same level as the cleansing heavenly extinguishing flame. Where was he going to find such a miraculous treasure? Moreover, until now, he still did not know what the chaotic divine tree was used for. Why would he waste so much effort and precious resources to nurture the chaotic divine tree? 5-colored divine stone? Heavenly heart divine fruit. Myriad spirit water. Where can I get it? Lin Yi was puzzled. He asked Biluo with his divine sense. These things are indeed heaven-defying items. However, if the chaotic sacred tree is properly nurtured, it will benefit you for the rest of your life. Do you know what the chaotic sacred tree is used for? Biluo also knew that with Lin Ye's current cultivation and strength, he definitely wouldn't be able to obtain these heaven-defying items. Moreover, there weren't such precious items in the remote lower planes. However, she wanted Lin Yi to try his best to find these heaven-defying items. She didn't tell Lin Yi that these things were just the beginning of nurturing the chaotic sacred tree. In other words, they were using these things to grow the chaotic sacred tree. The current chaotic sacred tree was just not dead yet. What are its uses? Is it more powerful than the soul suppression cauldron? Lin Yi was indeed curious. To be honest, he really didn't know what the chaotic sacred tree was used for. The chaotic sacred tree. It's the only existence in the universe that can change the laws. In other words, the chaotic sacred tree is a species outside of the laws. Under the chaotic sacred tree, you can directly observe and comprehend intents, territories, and laws. Even the origin and heavenly Tao can change time and space. It's also a heaven-defying divine medicine. In the future, you will truly know the power of the chaotic sacred tree. Biluo said. When talking about the chaotic sacred tree, she couldn't help but feel excited. She knew that among the treasures that Lin Yi had obtained, Although the soul suppression cauldron was magical, it was far inferior to the chaotic sacred tree. In fact, even if he sold countless worlds and planes, it wouldn't be worth a billionth of the chaotic sacred tree's value. However, can you find things like the 5-colored sacred stone? Lin Yi was shocked when he heard this. He didn't expect the chaotic sacred tree to be so heaven-defying. However, wanting to find these treasures was simply a fantasy. Everything has a chance of survival. Where the chaotic sacred tree is, the 5-colored sacred stone and the all-spirit water won't be too far away. Let's not talk about the chaotic sacred tree for now. Let's leave this place first. You still have a lot of things to do. You have to control the few things that you have obtained this time, especially the cultivation techniques and martial skills. Biluo's words were a little obscure. It was the heavenly Tao. It was a mystery. Lin Yi stopped communicating with Biluo and withdrew his divine thought. Then, he kept all the spoils of war. Bingyue, let's go. He looked at Luo Bingyue and said, "Okay." Luo Bingyue nodded in a low voice and stood up. Then, the two of them left the cave and walked toward the exit of the secret realm. There was a fixed teleportation formation in this secret realm. As long as the teleportation formation was activated, it could teleport people out of the secret realm. Moreover, there was more than one teleportation formation in the secret realm. After half a day, the two of them left through the teleportation formation. They appeared on the island outside the secret realm. As soon as they appeared, Lin Ye's divine thought sensed a powerful aura. The threat of death enveloped him. Whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, 3 powerful auras came crushing over. At the same time, 3 figures appeared around Lin Yi in a triangular formation, surrounding him and Luo Bingyue. Their powerful auras and might kept crushing him. Yin-Yang realm experts. And they were very powerful. "Hand over your storage bag. I can spare your life." An evil voice rang out. The one who spoke was a super expert in a black robe. The demonic aura on his body surged. Within 100 meters, there was pure and dense demonic aura. The space in front of him kept twisting. Obviously, this was a super expert from the demonic sect. "Give me your storage bag. I promise you won't die." Another voice rang out. The one who spoke was emitting a domineering demonic aura. His tall body was like an ancient beast. Beside him, there was a thin old man. However, the destructive demonic aura that the old man emitted confirmed that he was not a human. A Yin-Yang realm expert from the demonic sect. 2 Yin-Yang realm experts from the Fey God sect. They completely regarded Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue as ant. As far as they were concerned, they could crush these 2 puny all-creation experts to death with a single finger. "Can you really guarantee that I won't die?" Lin Yi looked at the 3 Yin-Yang realm experts. He was curious. How did the demonic sect and the Fey God sect know that the treasure was with him? It seemed that he had been targeted when he came out of the treasure land. He was careless. This was a lesson. He could not easily reveal that he had obtained the treasure. Didn't the other party need a storage bag? Just give it to him. Yes. Yes. The experts from the demonic sect and the Fey God sect were delighted to see Lin Yi being so considerate. However, they were worried that Lin Yi would give the storage bag to the other party. "Here." Lin Yi stretched out his hand and threw a storage pouch at the 2 Yin-Yang experts from the demon god sect. Chapter 75. Die. The skinny old man's figure changed, instantly turning into a huge ferocious beast. The domineering power of Yin and Yang twisted space. Its claws viciously slashed at the demonic sect elite. The other elite from the devil god sect went for the bag of holding. This was what Xiao Zun wanted. They had to get it and give it to Xiao Zun. Otherwise, even with their status, Xiao Zun could play them to death. Whoosh! The power of Yin and Yang could destroy heaven and earth. The domineering and evil demonic qi and devil power tore through space. Just as Lin Yi threw out the storage bag, Yi Zichen was stunned. He stretched out his hand and pulled Luo Bingyue, quickly rushing towards the sea at an incomparably fast speed. As long as they entered the ocean, the three Yin-Yang realm elites could do nothing to him. Rumble! Rumble! The three Yin-Yang realm elites unleashed their destructive attack. The bag of holding still fell into the hands of the Devil God Sect elite. Damn it! The Devil God Sect elite opened the bag of holding. It was empty. Seeing this, he roared. He was a Yin-Yang realm elite, but he was tricked by manifestation realm elites that he thought were ant. He quickly moved and chased after Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue. The demonic sect elite naturally knew that he had been tricked, so he also chased after Lin Yi. However, the experts from the demonic sect and the Fey God cult did not expect Lin Yi's speed to be faster than theirs. The distance between the two parties was increasing. Of course, they did not expect Lin Yi to have the wings of space. Even if he did not use them now, his speed was not something that normal elites could compare to. He was extremely fast. In just 10 seconds, Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue had already reached the edge of the island. The three Yin-Yang realm elites behind them all had sinister smiles on their faces. They knew that Lin Yi could not escape because the island was too small. Outside the island was the vast ocean. They could only return to Heavenly Sea City by boat, not to mention that there was no boat here. Even if there was a boat, it would be too late. Ant, why don't you run? The demonic sect elite snickered. At this moment, it was a game of cat and mouse. Their only opponents were the two elites from the Devil God sect. Humph! Lin Yi snorted coldly. With a thought, the Skyflame's sacred blade appeared in his hand. The moment the Skyflame's sacred blade appeared, he slashed out. Instantly, 32 sword lights covered the sky and shot toward the three Yin-Yang realm elites. At the same time, Luo Bingyue's 10,000 mammoth strength was also unleashed. And ice lights. The ice lotus emitted a destructive aura, and for a moment, the entire island was covered in frost. The bone-piercing coldness made people tremble. Ice heart lotus. Space trembled and everything fell silent. Whoosh! The three Yin-Yang realm experts hadn't expected the two ants to have the guts to attack. The demonic sect expert spat out a mouthful of blood. And the skinny old man's beast form also spat out blood. This was not the end. Under Luo Bingyue's control, the Skyflame's sacred lotus turned into rays of icy light. The icy light enveloped the three Yin-Yang realm elite. In an instant, the three Yin-Yang realm elites were completely frozen. The power of ice killed the three Yin-Yang realm elite. The island was silent. The three Yin-Yang realm elites were frozen. Their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. That's right. Even if it's me, I might not be able to defeat you. Lin Yi scanned with his divine will. The three Yin-Yang realm elites were dead. He was shocked. Although he knew that Luo Bingyue had the heart of ice essence and was one realm higher than him, he did not expect Luo Bingyue's strength to be so terrifying. She used the Skyflame's sacred lotus to kill a Yin-Yang realm elite. Even he could not kill three Yin-Yang realm elites in one move. Unless he used the freezing sky aurora. The heart of ice essence is suitable for the body of ice. Luo Bingyue was delighted to hear Lin Yi's praise. The heart of ice essence had completely changed her. With her ice-cold physique, it was as if she had received the help of the ice soul heart, turning her into a terrifying monster. Moreover, she could easily unleash a portion of the ice heart sacred lotus power. This girl is not bad. She's your fiancée, right? Take her. She'll be of great help to you in the future. Biluo's voice sounded in his mind. Her words made Lin Yi speechless. What are their cultivations? Lin Yi did not linger on this topic. He communicated with Biluo with his divine will. The demonic sect, second level of the Yin-Yang realm. The other two, peak first level of the Yin-Yang realm. Biluo answered. That means Bingyue's strength. She's comparable to a second level of the Yin-Yang realm, or even a third level of the Yin-Yang realm. Lin Yi thought. Then he looked at the sea and shook his head. The boats that came had already been destroyed. The island was surrounded by barren land. Naturally, no one would pass by. It was impossible to find a boat. If they wanted to return to Sky Sea City, they could only fly back. If he had known this would happen, he would have prepared a boat in the ninefold space. Lin Yi could not help but think that he was still too inexperienced. He was not fully prepared for many things. "Let's go," Luo Bingyue said. She only said one word. At the same time, she activated the heavenly ice technique and pointed her finger. The terrifying power of ice landed on the sea. Instantly, a piece of ice that was a few meters large appeared in the sea. The ice was extremely solid. Even a manifestation realm elite might not be able to break it. Whoosh whoosh, the two of them flashed and landed on the ice. Lin Yi waved his hand and slapped the air with his palm. There was a strange tremor in the air. At the same time, the ice under their feet flew out like sharp arrows. It was extremely fast, crossing thousands of meters in the blink of an eye. Half a day later, Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue returned to Sky Sea City. "I'm going to the market. I'm going to dispose of some unneeded items. Are you going?" After returning to Sky Sea City, Lin Yi asked Luo Bingyue. His ninefold space was indeed very big. He could store any number of items. However, he wanted to sell some unneeded items for gold coins or spiritual stones. When the time came, he could use spiritual stones to buy precious cultivation resources or items. The chaotic divine tree needed precious treasures. "I'm going." Luo Bingyue nodded and responded. In Sky Sea City, she had no relatives. The only person she was familiar with was Lin Yi. Moreover, Lin Yi used to be her fiancé. Although Lin Yi cancelled the agreement and gave her freedom, the two of them were still together. There was an indescribable joy in her heart. She realized that she didn't know when she started to like Lin Yi. The two of them walked towards the market while admiring the scenery of Sky Sea City. The market. It was one of the most prosperous places in Sky Sea City. There were all kinds of resources that martial artists needed here. It could be said that as long as you had spiritual stones and gold coins, you could buy anything you needed here. Although it was a bit exaggerated, it also showed that the market had all kinds of resources. The day of the Sky Sea Sect's disciple recruitment was approaching. Countless prodigies and elites wanted to use this time to increase their strength. "Lingling, don't be stubborn. After visiting the market, come back to the Qin clan with me." In the market square, a young man and woman were strolling. The young man was confident and his face was full of arrogance. The woman was extremely beautiful. She was tall and had an otherworldly temperament, just like a fairy. She was one of the top 10 goddesses of the Sky Sea Sect, senior sister Lingling. "Back to the Qin clan?" "Qin Wenfeng, stop dreaming. Don't follow me. You're an eyesore." Senior sister Lingling looked impatient. Qin Wenfeng was like a fly that she couldn't get rid of. However, she didn't dare to offend him. After all, Qin Wenfeng had a powerful background. "Lingling, you better think it through. Don't regret it when the time comes." Qin Wenfeng's face was extremely ugly. "When I get tired of you, I'll sell you to a brothel. Let's see how arrogant you can be then." Qin Wenfeng roared in his heart. If it wasn't for Murong Lingling's beauty, he wouldn't have chased her to Sky Sea City. Murong Lingling strolled around in boredom. She didn't plan to buy anything at all. She just wanted to relax or to get rid of Qin Wenfeng. At this moment, a familiar figure appeared in her line of sight. She was surprised and curious, and even a bit happy. A sly smile appeared on her beautiful face. Chapter 76. What's wrong? Seeing Murong Lingling's expression, Qin Wenfeng couldn't help but follow her gaze. In his line of sight, it was a girl as beautiful as a goddess. The girl was cold and holy, and her aura was unapproachable. She gave off an otherworldly feeling. In fact, she was even prettier than Murong Lingling. Her cold aura made her the target of all men. Lingling, you know her? Qin Wenfeng looked at the beautiful girl. He asked Murong Lingling, who was beside him. Yes, I know her. Murong Lingling nodded. She thought Qin Wenfeng was referring to the youth beside the girl. She had indeed seen the youth before, but she didn't know his name. The badge on his chest proved that he was a disciple of the Heavenly Sea sect. She couldn't help but be surprised and curious. As she spoke, she walked towards the youth. Junior brother. Murong Lingling called out as she approached the young man and woman. Her voice was crisp and sweet, and a happy smile appeared on her beautiful face. Senior sister Lingling. Linyi felt a faint fragrance coming towards him. The fragrance was intoxicating. He turned his head and saw that it was an extremely beautiful woman. She was wearing a sky blue dress, and her aura was otherworldly. His mind spun quickly, and he finally remembered that he had seen this girl before. The youth was naturally Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue. The two of them came to the market, and they didn't expect to meet someone they knew. Who is this junior sister? Murong Lingling was even happier when she saw that Lin Yi still remembered her. But when her gaze landed on Luo Bingyue, a trace of jealousy rose in her heart. It was clear that the girl in front of her was even prettier than her. In fact, she was also very pretty, but her temperament was a bit lacking compared to Luo Bingyue's cold temperament. She's my friend, Luo Bingyue. Lin Yi gave a simple introduction. Lin Yi noticed that the young man beside Murong Lingling was sizing up Luo Bingyue. When he looked at Lin Yi, there was a deep sense of enmity in his eyes. Hello, I'm Murong Lingling. Murong Lingling smiled and extended her hand. Luo Bingyue nodded and reached out her hand. The two shook hands gently as a polite greeting. Qin Wenfeng, who was at the side, was completely treated as heir. His face was incomparably ugly. He finally understood that Murong Lingling didn't know Luo Bingyue, but knew this youth. Murong Lingling was happy to see this youth, which made Qin Wenfeng extremely unhappy. The woman he liked was neither cold nor warm to him. She even hated him. Yet, she was so affectionate towards a young man. Senior Marshal sister, you're also strolling around the market? Lin Yi smiled as he looked at Murong Lingling. When she looked at Murong Lingling, her eyes were clear and pure, filled with admiration. Yes. Relax. There was a sly smile on Murong Lingling's face. His gloomy mood had actually improved. Beauty, let's get to know each other. I'm Qin Wenfeng. Qin Wenfeng introduced himself politely as he looked at Luo Bingyue. He felt a sense of satisfaction in his heart. It meant that since you have feelings for this youth, I'll get close to this goddess who's prettier than you. It would be great if he could woo this cold goddess. As for Murong Lingling, it was fine if he gave up on her. There's no need. Luo Bingyue's cold voice sounded. If it wasn't for politeness, she wouldn't even bother with Qin Wenfeng. Junior brother, you want to buy resources? Or sell resources? Murong Lingling had a sly smile on her face as she took a step forward. Her slender jade-like hands naturally wrapped around Lin Ye's arm. Her movements were extremely natural, as if she had practiced with Lin Yi before. Lin Yi was stunned by this scene. Luo Bingyue was stunned. Qin Wenfeng was stunned. He didn't expect Murong Lingling to do this. What kind of game was this? Lin Yi was speechless and even a little dumbfounded. Lingling, don't go overboard. Qin Wenfeng's expression was extremely ugly. In the beginning, he was treated like heir by the three of them. Later on, he took the initiative to greet Luo Bingyue but was ignored by the latter. And now, Murong Lingling, the woman he liked, was holding the arm of this young man in front of him. This was completely an action that only couples would do. Qin Wenfeng, go back to the Qin family. This is the Heavenly Sea realm, the Heavenly Sea sect. Murong Lingling's expression froze as she spoke seriously. Qin Wenfeng was like a fly that annoyed her. When he saw Luo Bingyue, he immediately tried to curry favor with her. This made her feel even more disgusted. If Qin Wenfeng wasn't a member of the Qin family, she wouldn't be so polite to him. Let's go. Lin Yi reacted and knew that he was the scapegoat. This beautiful senior sister lingering in front of him was definitely using him to reject Qin Wenfeng. However, Qin Wenfeng would definitely hate him. Of course, he didn't care. He glanced at Murong Lingling, then looked at Luo Bingyue. His eyes were filled with helplessness. And what made Qin Wenfeng even angrier was that Luo Bingyue and Murong Lingling replied to Lin Yi at the same time. He never would have thought that the woman he liked, who was so prideful and holy in front of him, would become so obedient in front of another person. This anger was indescribable. Furthermore, this youth that didn't seem to be outstanding had two gorgeous women in his heart. Two fresh flowers stuck in a pile of cow dung. Stop. Kid, you're feeling good, aren't you? I advise you to get out of my sight. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died. There are some people that you can't afford to offend. Don't be a toad that wants to eat swan meat. Qin Wenfeng was almost roaring. He no longer cared about being elegant in front of his goddess. His voice attracted countless people's attention. At this moment, more and more people came over to watch the show. Plus, just Luo Bingyue and Murong Lingling's beauty was enough to attract people's attention, no matter where they went. Now that the two goddesses were together, they naturally became the focus of countless people. In a moment, the four of them were surrounded by hundreds and thousands of people. Everyone's eyes were filled with envy and jealousy. One had to know that Lin Yi had two goddesses by his side. This kid is so lucky. Lucky? He's courting death. He doesn't have the strength nor the background. He will only bring trouble. Just the situation in front of him is enough to make him suffer. He might even be crippled. I really don't know why the two goddesses are with him. Obviously, he's using them as a shield. The sound of discussion was endless. No one looked directly at Lin Yi. Even if Lin Yi was a disciple of the Heavenly Sea sect, the badge on Lin Ye's chest showed that he was an ordinary outer sect disciple. Furthermore, in Heavenly Sea City, Wanxiang realm cultivators were everywhere. They weren't worth much. A mere Wanxiang realm cultivator with two goddesses by his side was definitely hated. That Wenfeng something? I'm feeling really good. You must be feeling really bad, right? But what does that have to do with me? Lin Yi turned around and glanced at Qin Wenfeng, intentionally or otherwise. He couldn't help but reveal a trace of a smile on his face. He opened his mouth and spoke neither quickly nor slowly. His entire person was calm and collected. However, the words that came out of his mouth shocked everyone. They didn't expect Lin Yi to be so arrogant. Chapter 77. Arrogant, that's right, arrogant and conceited. They were all ordinary outer sect disciples of the Tianhai sect, who looked no more than 16 years old. How could he be so arrogant in front of a peak Wanxiang realm expert? However, Lin Yi was arrogant. He was just too conceited. When the countless people present looked at Lin Yi, their eyes were filled with disdain and disdain. They all thought that Lin Yi was being arrogant because he wanted to leave a good impression on the two goddesses. However, they didn't know that Lin Yi didn't even take Qin Wenfeng seriously. Not to mention the Wanxiang realm, he wouldn't even take an ordinary Yin-Yang realm expert seriously. You're courting death. You're very powerful. You've successfully angered me. Qin Wenfeng's expression was extremely ugly. He was humiliated by a young man in front of so many people. This was a great humiliation. As he spoke, he activated his powerful heaven-level cultivation technique. Instantly, the overbearing Wanxiang realm strength distorted the space. As a genius, although he was a little stupid, he was pretty strong and was almost invincible in the Wanxiang realm. Lin Yi felt that Qin Wenfeng was at the peak of the Wanxiang realm, and was comparable to a first-level yin-yang realm expert. Hiss hiss, the air was distorted. Qin Wenfeng's fist carried a destructive aura as it smashed towards Lin Yi. He didn't use a weapon because, in his opinion, using a weapon against a young man was an insult to the weapon. This fist was enough to destroy this damned young man in front of him. There was no lack of experts present. Seeing the power of Qin Wenfeng's fist, they were all shocked. They knew that they couldn't withstand it. For a moment, they looked at Lin Yi as if they were looking at a dead man. Many girls even covered their eyes, not wanting to see the bloody and violent scene. "Who do you think you are? I really don't know who gave you the confidence." Lin Yi looked at the incoming destructive aura and said indifferently. However, he didn't move at all. He just watched the overbearing aura of the fist come crashing towards him. However, when the aura of the fist was 1 meter away from him, he moved. He raised his hand and also threw a punch. This punch didn't seem very powerful. In fact, he didn't even seem to be channeling his energy. In this situation, everyone thought that Lin Yi was courting death. Boom! In an instant, the two auras of the fist collided. In the space, there was a strong sonic boom, and the wind was raging. The powerful aura sent the onlookers within 100 meters flying. Many of them were affected and spat out a mouthful of blood. Qin Wenfeng, then Qin Wenfeng's voice. Qin Wenfeng, who had been the first to attack, was sent flying by the terrifying power. He finally fell to the ground, and his arm was directly shattered by the powerful attack. Blood was dripping, and he looked very terrifying. Qin Wenfeng's face was pale and filled with pain. Lin Yi, on the other hand, stood in place without moving. After a brief silence, everyone couldn't help but sigh. Their faces were filled with shock. When they looked at Lin Yi, it was as if they had seen a monster. They didn't expect this seemingly ordinary youth to be so powerful. He defeated a peak 9th level Wanxiang realm expert with a casual punch. Moreover, his cultivation was only at the 5th level of the Wanxiang realm. How terrifying was this punch to cripple the arm of a peak 9th level Wanxiang realm expert. Apart from Luo Bingwei, the others present were all shocked. As for the others, they were all shocked. Their mouths were so wide open that one could stuff a fist into them. "You'll regret this. I want you to die." Qin Wenfeng's arm was crippled. His combat strength was almost zero. He stood up painfully. He hated Lin Yi to the bone. If a vicious gaze could kill, Lin Yi would have been killed by him countless times. He looked at Lin Yi and gnashed his teeth. At the same time, a jade talisman appeared in Qin Wenfeng's other hand. He activated the jade talisman with his true essence. The jade talisman exploded with a destructive aura. Level 6 talisman, that's right, it was a level 6 talisman. A level 6 talisman that could kill a yin-yang realm expert. That overbearing and destructive aura shocked the experts who were watching. Their faces changed and they did not dare to hesitate. In a flash, they left the forest far away. He even had a level 6 talisman. This meant that Qin Wenfeng's background wasn't simple. Even a yin-yang realm expert could be killed by a level 6 talisman, let alone Lin Yi. In an instant, the jade talisman turned into a giant demon beast. The demon beast roared and bit at Lin Yi with destructive power. It was as if it wanted to devour Lin Yi. Its ferocious aura shook the sky and made people tremble. Heavenly Sea City, Heavenly Sea Sect. I don't kill ants. However, the punishment is necessary. To be honest, I don't even want to attack because you don't have the right to make me attack. The demon beast was 100 meters tall. Its ferocious aura was unparalleled and extremely powerful. Looking at the demon beast that the jade talisman had turned into, Lin Yi was moved. A level 6 talisman was indeed not bad. If it were any other manifestation realm expert, they would definitely die. However, against Lin Yi, this level 6 talisman was useless. As he spoke, he activated the Divine Dragon 9 transformations and a powerful force erupted. At the same time, he executed the heavenly phoenix divine seal. A huge seal appeared in the air and shot towards the demonic beast. This seal was the second level of the heavenly phoenix divine seal. Heavenly phoenix divine seal, sovereign seal. Its power was more than 1,000 times stronger than the sovereign seal. With a single strike, even a small mountain would be destroyed by the sovereign seal. In an instant, it was just an instant, the heavenly phoenix divine seal struck the demon beast. Cracks appeared on the demon beast formed by the level 6 talisman. The speed of the cracks was extremely fast. In just an instant, the demon beast's body turned into pieces and disappeared into the air. It was shattered into pieces by Lin Ye's seal. Pucci. The power of the heavenly phoenix divine seal increased. Qin Wenfeng, who was not far away, was drowned by the seal. The square of the market trembled. Countless people's blood surged and they almost spat out blood. Their faces were pale. Soon, the seal of the heavenly phoenix divine seal disappeared. The space fell silent. Countless experts' eyes were filled with shock. Their faces were lifeless. On the ground, Qin Wenfeng's clothes were almost completely shredded. He looked extremely miserable, even worse than a beggar on the side of the road. There was no longer a trace of a martial artist's aura on his body. Qin Wenfeng's dantian had been shattered. He could no longer cultivate and could only be an ordinary person. I didn't expect a 5th level all-manifestation realm to defeat a 9th level all-manifestation realm cultivator. Is this still a 5th level all-manifestation realm cultivator? I suspect that my 5th level all-manifestation realm cultivation is fake. He was able to defeat someone 4 levels above him in one strike. It seems like he didn't really make a move. I'm really curious. How powerful is his most terrifying strike? When did such a powerful person appear in the outer sect? Even the top 10 outer sect disciples are only SOSO. All the experts present were shocked. Their eyeballs were about to fly out. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it even if they were beaten to death. For a moment, many 5th level all-manifestation realm geniuses suspected that their cultivation was fake. Junior brother, you're too powerful. Murong Lingling looked at Lin Yi as if she had discovered a new continent. Apart from shock, there was also a sly smile on her beautiful face. As for Qin Wenfeng, she really didn't care about him. The Qin family was powerful, but the Murong family wasn't afraid of them. Moreover, the Qin family wasn't in the Sky Sea realm. Their hands couldn't reach the Sky Sea city. Naturally, she wasn't worried about Lin Yi. Chapter 78. You're too kind, senior sister. Lin Yi smiled and was about to leave with Luo Bingyue. At that moment, a terrifying aura locked onto him. That aura was unparalleled, and it was definitely the most powerful being he had ever encountered. Needless to say, the person who locked onto him was a powerful yin-yang realm cultivator, and a very powerful one at that. Boom! Unparalleled pressure instantly descended. Pucci. Instantly, the pressure descended on Lin Yi and the others. With Lin Yi as the center, all the experts within a few hundred meters spat out a mouthful of blood. Their faces were pale and powerless, and they were about to kneel down. They looked extremely miserable. He hadn't even arrived yet, but his aura and pressure had already crushed everything in its path. This was the terrifying power of a super yin-yang realm cultivator. Not all yin-yang realm cultivators could do this. Everyone was crushed, but Lin Yi was an exception. Luo Bingyue, Lin Yi. The two of them ignored the domineering and destructive pressure. Even Murong Lingling, who was beside them, was unaffected by the pressure with Lin Ye's aura. A cry of surprise sounded in the air. He didn't expect Lin Yi to be able to resist his pressure. Even Luo Bingyue could resist his pressure. The commotion on the square attracted the attention of even more experts. Instantly, countless experts looked over. Third uncle, I want him dead. Capture Lingling and that woman alive. Qin Wenfeng, who was lying on the ground, felt a familiar aura and became excited as he shouted loudly. At this moment, with his third uncle here, he had a backer. The hatred in his heart surged out. He wanted to burn Lin Yi to ashes and capture Murong Lingling and Luo Bingyue alive. You're a disgrace to the Qin family. But even if you don't live up to expectations, you're still a member of the Qin family. The Qin family isn't something an ant can provoke. Qin Xiaotian, the second-generation expert of the Qin clan. He was considered an outstanding talent among the younger generation. He was not even 40 years old this year, and his cultivation base was at the peak of the 4th level of the Yin-Yang realm. He could be said to be invincible among his peers. Back then, he was also a super genius. As he spoke, Qin Xiaotian's figure appeared in Lin Ye's sight. A young man walked towards them step by step, exuding a destructive aura. His aura was so powerful that it sent the surrounding experts flying. When one's cultivation reached a certain level, one could basically retain one's youthful looks. Oftentimes, there were many experts who had lived for 70 or 80 years, or even 100 or 200 years old. Although they still looked like youths, their true age could not be concealed. Junior brother, be careful. This is the expert of the second generation of the Qin clan. When he was young, he was also a super genius. His strength surpassed his cultivation level. Murong Lingling's expression became serious when she saw Qin Xiaotian. She believed that Qin Xiaotian wouldn't dare to touch her, but it would be disadvantageous for Lin Yi. However, this was the Heavenly Sea sect of the Heavenly Sea City. The experts of the Heavenly Sea sect would definitely know about Qin Xiaotian's appearance. She moved her face close to Lin Ye's ear and whispered. Her breath was like orchids, and Lin Yi couldn't help but feel restless. Lingling, for your father's sake, come back to the Qin clan with me. Qin Xiaotian's cold gaze swept across Lin Yi and the other two. He said to Murong Lingling. He really didn't dare to do anything to Murong Lingling. His tone was firm, and no one could disobey him. It was as if he was giving an order. Uncle Qin. For my father's sake, I'll call you Uncle Qin. But Uncle Qin, you have to understand that this is Heavenly Sea City. I won't go to the Qin clan. The sly smile on Murong Lingling's beautiful face disappeared, and what replaced it was coldness. She didn't give Qin Xiaotian any face. Her words made it clear that she would only call him Uncle Qin for her father's sake. Her tone was completely confrontational. As she spoke, she subconsciously held Lin Ye's arm tighter. Intentionally or unintentionally, she took a step forward and placed Lin Yi behind her. In her eyes, no matter how monstrous Lin Yi was, he couldn't be Qin Xiaotian's match. She didn't believe that Qin Xiaotian would dare to attack her. This action made Lin Ye's heart involuntarily warm. In this world, other than Mr., he didn't have any relative. It was true. He didn't have any relatives. No one cared about him. Junior, kill yourself. I can give you an intact corpse. Qin Xiaotian's expression was ugly. He was a Yin-Yang realm expert, but he was humiliated by a little girl. What was even more hateful was that he couldn't attack this little girl. His gaze was like a sharp sword as he looked at Lin Yi. His voice was extremely cold. As he spoke, he walked towards Lin Yi step by step. With every step he took, his aura grew stronger. The terrifying aura crushed Lin Yi. He wanted to use his aura and pressure to defeat Lin Yi. This was the power and dominance of a Yin-Yang realm expert against a Wanxiang realm expert. Someone from outside the Sky Sea realm came to cause trouble in Sky Sea City. Do you really think that there's no one in Sky Sea City? In the market, the three super experts naturally saw the scene in the square. Actually, in Sky Sea City, as long as one emitted a Yin-Yang realm aura, they couldn't hide from Sky Sea City. Everyone's actions in Sky Sea City couldn't escape Sky Sea Sect's surveillance. Wait, let's see how long this little guy can last. One of the elders shook his head and said, Elder Yun, do Do you think he can last? A 5th-level Wanxiang realm expert against a 4th-level Yinyang realm expert. He'll be crushed. The one who spoke was a woman. Although she was young, she was an elder of Sky Sea sect. Don't let Sky Sea sect leave any evidence for outsiders. The elder said indifferently. Someone from outside the Sky Sea realm came to cause trouble in Sky Sea City. Sky Sea sect naturally had to interfere, not to mention that this youth was a disciple of Sky Sea sect. However, Sky Sea sect couldn't find an excuse for others unless it was an outsider who attacked first. In that case, Sky Sea sect could directly kill the outsider. Who told you to be arrogant? You're finished now. He really doesn't know what's good for him. A Wanxiang realm expert against a Yinyang realm expert. He's courting death. What a pity. If he kept a low profile, he wouldn't have died. However, he really has some skills. He can directly face the pressure and aura of a Yinyang realm expert. I just don't know if he can block one attack from a Yinyang realm expert. In the square, countless experts discussed. They couldn't help but gloat. A Wanxiang realm expert against a powerful Yinyang realm expert was simply courting death. The experts present had seen Yinyang realm experts before, but none of them were as powerful as this Yinyang realm expert. One could only imagine how terrifying this Yinyang realm expert was. They could only admit that they were unlucky to encounter such a terrifying person. Scram! Unexpectedly, Lin Yi didn't kill himself. Instead, he said, "Scram." He was still as arrogant and domineering as before. For a moment, countless people opened their mouths so wide that their fists could be stuffed in. Their eyeballs were about to fly out. They couldn't believe what they had heard. Lin Yi looked indifferently at Qin Shaotian. He activated the Luo Water Sutra. A powerful defense was activated. His battle intent soared. It was his first time encountering such a powerful Yinyang realm expert, so he naturally wanted to fight. It was also a good opportunity to test his strength and understand the methods of a Yinyang realm expert. You. A trace of anger appeared on Murong Lingling's beautiful face. She didn't expect Lin Yi to be so arrogant. He was still so arrogant in front of Qin Shaotian. If he had restrained himself a little, she might have been able to protect him once. At least this time, Qin Shaotian wouldn't dare to kill Lin Yi. But now, even she couldn't protect him. For a moment, disappointment rose in her heart. Die. I'll teach you the most basic etiquette of a martial artist. Qin Shaotian was so angry that he laughed loudly. He was indeed infuriated by Lin Yi. What kind of person was he? Yet, he was provoked and humiliated by a youth in the Sky Sea realm. He circulated his true essence, and the power of Yin and Yang erupted. He punched at Lin Yi. Space distorted and shattered. The destructive fist appeared in front of Lin Yi with flames. Chapter 79. The domineering fist aura was filled with killing intent. The space trembled, shattered, and recovered. It kept repeating. In an instant, the huge and domineering fist aura landed in front of Lin Yi. If this fist hit, even a Yin-Yang realm expert would die, let alone a youth in the manifestation realm. For a moment, countless powerful beings could imagine the ending when they saw this scene. The ending was that Lin Yi would be smashed into pieces by the fist. It was extremely tragic. At this moment, Lin Yi moved. Only Lin Yi raised his hand and punched towards the huge fist aura. Celestial Emperor Fist, 2nd level. That's right, the 2nd level of the Celestial Emperor Fist. The Celestial Emperor Fist's fist aura was dazzling as if the Celestial Emperor had descended. At this moment, Lin Yi had already displayed a portion of the Celestial Emperor Fist's power. However, just a portion was enough to destroy the world and make countless experts tremble. Because of the Celestial Emperor Fist's fist intent, Lin Yi had a pressure that exceeded his own realm and could resist the pressure of a Yin-Yang realm expert. Boom! There was a shocking explosion. Unparalleled light scattered in all directions. Strong winds raged. Poochie! Poochie! Lin Yi quickly retreated. He retreated more than 10 steps before stabilizing himself. He spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was extremely pale, and his chest hurt slightly. However, the battle intent on his body grew stronger and stronger. His eyes shone brightly. On the other side, Qin Shaotian also retreated more than 10 steps before stopping. His expression was extremely ugly. His chest hurt and there was a sweet taste in his throat. He spat out a mouthful of blood. He originally wanted to suppress this mouthful of blood to avoid embarrassment, but in the end, he failed. Forcefully suppressing it would only leave behind sequelae. It was not worth it. He looked at his fist again. It was a bloody mess. That punch just now made his heart tremble uncontrollably. Now that he thought about it, he felt a lingering fear. Screech! The square was filled with sighs. Everyone was stunned because they never thought that the ending would be like this. A yin-yang realm expert failed to kill a youth in the manifestation realm with a punch. Instead, he was injured by the youth's fist. The two of them seemed to be evenly matched. However, it was clear that Qin Shaotian had suffered a loss. Because he had taken the initiative to attack, his fist was still badly mangled. Crazy. He didn't know if the world had gone mad or if he had gone mad. Since when could the Wanxiang realm rival the Yin-yang realm? That punch is definitely a saint-ranked martial skill. I never expected the Sky Sea realm to have a saint-tier martial technique. The Wanxiang realm can cultivate saint-tier martial arts. It seems like he has already cultivated his saint-tier martial skill to initial success or mastery. Otherwise, he would not be so powerful. This little guy is really surprising. The cultivators of the Heavenly Sea sect were in the market. He originally wanted to save Lin Yi, but it was already too late. However, they did not expect that not only was Lin Yi not dead, but he had also brought them a huge surprise and shock. Originally, martial artists were unable to cultivate saint-rank martial skills. Even martial artists above the void refining stage could not cultivate it. This was because saint-tier martial skills were the means of saints, and their power could destroy the heavens and earth. As for Lin Yi, he managed to cultivate a saint-rank martial skill. Am I seeing things? To think that the ending would be like this. What a horrifying punch. A Wanxiang realm martial artist can fight with a Yin-yang realm martial artist. This understanding has been overturned. Countless experts in the square were shocked when they saw this scene. The sound of discussion was endless. When the experts present looked at Lin Yi, it was as if they were looking at a monster. A 5th-level Wanxiang realm martial artist could fight with a Yin-yang realm martial artist. If this was not a monster, what was? Lin Yi's punch was indeed shocking. I took your punch. Then take a punch from me too. Lin Yi wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and a trace of color returned to his face. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He looked at Qin Shaotian, who was not far away. A 4th-level Yin-yang realm martial artist was indeed not simple. Furthermore, Qin Shaotian was not an ordinary 4th-level Yin-yang realm martial artist, but a super-powerful 4th-level Yin-yang realm martial artist. His punch just now was at the 2nd level of the Heavenly Emperor Fist, which was currently the strongest power of the Heavenly Emperor Fist. Originally, after reaching the 2nd level of the Heavenly Emperor Fist, he was confident that he could kill a 1st or 2nd level Yin-yang realm martial artist and severely injure a 3rd or 4th level Yin-yang realm martial artist. He did not expect Qin Shaotian to be so powerful that he did not suffer any serious injuries. As he spoke, he activated the Luo Water Sutra. He activated the Divine Dragon 9 transformations. An invincible attack was launched. The 2nd level of the Heavenly Emperor Fist exploded. Instantly, the space distorted and shattered. It was also the 2nd level of the Heavenly Emperor Fist, but this punch was more than 10 times stronger than before. This was because the second level of the Heavenly Emperor Fist had an invincible attack and the enhancement of the Divine Dragon 9 transformations. A punch was launched. The experts within a kilometer could not help but feel suffocated. The fist intent was awe-inspiring, and a hole was smashed in the space. Yin-Yang creation. Qin Xiaotian's expression turned even uglier. He had already lost face earlier, and now Lin Yi actually took the initiative to attack him. From his actions and tone, this young man completely treated him as an opponent, an ordinary opponent. Since when did a Wanxiang realm martial artist dare to fight a Yin-Yang realm martial artist? To Qin Xiaotian, this was simply a huge provocation and humiliation. Was he really that easy to bully? Even a 5th-level Wanxiang realm martial artist did not take him seriously. Qin Xiaotian no longer cared about his image and identity. He activated the yin-yang force to the peak, and with a stroke of his hands, a destructive light energy crushed toward Lin Yi. The space distorted again. He felt a tinge of fear in his heart. This punch was obviously more powerful than before. Crack! In an instant, the yin-yang force and the Heavenly Emperor Fist collided. A cracking sound echoed in the air. A figure was thrown out like a kite with a short string. In the air, the figure spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood turned into a bloody curtain in the air, and it looked extremely tragic. Soon, the figure fell to the ground 100 meters away. Qin Xiaotian was Qin Xiaotian. A 4th-level Yin-Yang realm martial artist was severely injured by Lin Ye's punch and sent flying. He lost all his combat strength and no longer had a chance to attack. On the other hand, Lin Yi, who was standing at the side, did not move an inch. His entire person was calm and relaxed, as if what had just happened had nothing to do with him. "You're too weak." Lin Yi looked at Qin Xiaotian and said calmly. A 4th-level Yin-Yang realm martial artist was indeed powerful. However, he was unlucky to meet Lin Yi. His strength was beyond his realm. "You!" Qin Xiaotian was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. The ending was not what he had imagined. He was the one who was injured twice. He was a Yin-Yang realm martial artist after all. He even wondered if it was him or Qin Xiaotian who was in the Yin-Yang realm. Why did it feel like he was in the manifestation realm while Qin Xiaotian was in the Yin-Yang realm? Otherwise, how could he be injured? After being defeated by a manifestation realm martial artist, Qin Xiaotian was even told that he was too weak. Any other Yin-Yang realm martial artist would be angered to death. He hated Qin Xiaotian too much. He wished he could turn this despicable young man into ashes. However, could he do it now? The answer? Obviously, it was impossible. Furthermore, this was Tianhai City. The Tianhai sect would definitely know about his appearance. More importantly, there were already several terrifying consciousnesses locked onto him. As long as he made the slightest movement, he would be instantly killed. In the Heavenly Sea realm, if you're a dragon, you have to lie down. If you're a tiger, you have to lie down. Lin Yi walked to Qin Xiaotian step by step. He said calmly. Chapter 80. The winner is king and the loser is a bandit. Whatever you say. I hope you stay in the Sky Sea realm for the rest of your life. Humph. Qin Xiaotian's expression was extremely ugly. The feeling of being defeated by a youth in the manifestation realm was truly unbearable, but this was reality. He had already lost, and he wanted revenge. It definitely wouldn't work in the Sky Sea realm. As long as Lin Yi left the Sky Sea realm, he had all sorts of ways to kill Lin Yi. Oh, is that so? You have killing intent towards me, Lin Yi said indifferently. He hated it when people threatened him, and he had a habit and principle. As long as it was a threat to him, he would strangle the threat in the cradle. As he spoke, he casually pointed his finger. The finger force was like a sword, instantly landing on Qin Xiaotian's body. Qin Xiaotian felt the true essence in his body rapidly depleting, and his face was filled with horror. This was the thing he was most afraid of, but it happened just like that. The shattering of his dantian was worse than death. In the future, he would no longer be able to cultivate, and his cultivation would be like flowing water, never to return. In the square, countless experts also saw this scene. They all understood the meaning behind Lin Ye's words. Since Qin Shaotian had killing intent towards him, he had to erase this killing intent. The Sky Sea City was not like other cities where martial arts were strictly prohibited. In the Sky Sea City, martial arts were allowed. Junior brother, wait for me. After crippling Qin Shaotian, Lin Yi turned around and left. Luo Bingyue also followed closely. When Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue were far away, Murong Lingling finally reacted, and a sly smile appeared on her beautiful face. She shouted loudly, and at the same time, she chased after Lin Yi. Senior Sister Lingling. Is there anything else? Lin Yi turned around, looked at Murong Lingling who had caught up, and asked with a smile. He vaguely remembered that this senior sister was holding on to him just now. Of course, he definitely knew that Murong Lingling was using him as a shield. Now that Qin Wenfeng and Qin Shaotian were crippled, her troubles were solved, and he didn't know what else she could do. Junior brother hates senior sister that much? Or am I disturbing junior brother and junior sister? Murong Lingling was 2 years older than Luo Bingyue. At 18 years old, she was not much different from the 16-year-old Luo Xing. She sized up Lin Yi with her beautiful eyes. She also did not expect that this seemingly ordinary junior brother would be so monstrous. Truly, one could not judge a book by its cover. Ordinary. In fact, he didn't even look good. However, that scholarly aura gave people a sense of gentleness. His eyes were like the stars in the night sky, clear and wise. Behind the ordinary people, when a great battle broke out, it could only be described as powerful and domineering. It was simply like a war god descending upon the world with the might of a sovereign. Senior sister, you Luo Bingyue couldn't help but blush at Murong Lingling's words. A blush appeared on her beautiful face. Although she didn't know whether Murong Lingling was an inner or outer sect disciple, she was definitely older than her and Lin Yi. In terms of politeness, it was normal to call her senior sister. Senior Sister Lingling. Who would dare to hate such a beautiful senior sister? But I still have some things to take care of. Lin Yi smiled and joked. He had to admit that Murong Lingling was pretty. She wasn't much worse than Luo Bingyue. If Lin Yi were to grade pretty girls, if the full score was 10, Luo Bingyue would be 9. 9, Luo Xing'er was 9. 9, Luo Ling'er was 9. 8. This Murong Lingling should be 9. 6. He first praised Murong Lingling before distancing himself from Murong Lingling. He didn't want to get involved with Murong Lingling, even if she was a goddess. You're going to the market, right? I know the people from the Jiubao Pavilion. They might be able to help you. Murong Lingling couldn't help but feel happy when she heard Lin Yi praise her. There were at least 9,000 people who praised her for her beauty. But she was already tired of hearing it. But not only was she not annoyed by Lin Ye's praise, she even enjoyed it. Thank you, senior sister. Lin Yi didn't think much of it. He wasn't going to ask for help, he was just delivering a business deal. But since Murong Lingling had spoken, he couldn't refuse. Then, the three of them walked towards the market. Beside Lin Yi, there were 2 extremely beautiful women on his left and right, causing everyone to be envious and jealous. If looks could kill, Lin Yi would have died 1,000,000 times over. Jiubao Pavilion. It was one of the biggest businesses in Tianhai City. It was a business for martial artists. As long as you had something useful for martial artists, it had everything. The premise was that you had to be able to take out gold coins or spirit stones. Moreover, Jiubao Pavilion was the most trustworthy business. Jiubao Pavilion occupied the best location in Tianhai City. It was incomparably rich. Jiubao Pavilion adhered to fair, just, and open transactions. They guaranteed their credibility and treated all customers equally. After entering Jubao Pavilion, Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue finally saw what a super business was. Although the two of them didn't look like country bumpkins, they were still shocked by everything here. Murong Lingling didn't laugh when she saw Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue's expressions. Instead, she led the two of them to the second floor of Jubao Pavilion. Lin Yi found that Murong Lingling was more familiar with this place. It was as if she was at home. Mississippi, an old man with white hair and a beard, came to the second floor. When he saw Murong Lingling, he greeted her. He was incomparably polite to Murong Lingling. "Grandpa Zhao, this is my junior brother and junior sister." Murong Lingling greeted him affectionately and then introduced Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue. This scene surprised Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue. Now the two of them understood that Jubao Pavilion was related to Murong Lingling. "Young friend, you are a young prodigy. This old man has lived for more than 100 years and has seen many prodigies. You can enter the top 100. The old man sized up Lin Yi with a kind smile on his face. He said. To be able to catch his eye, he was definitely a top prodigy. He didn't expect to meet a prodigy like Lin Yi in Tianhai realm. Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue were shocked. Top 100? In other words, Lin Yi could only be ranked, but he wasn't the most monstrous. He naturally didn't know that the old man had lived for more than 100 years and wasn't in Tianhai realm in the past. Instead, he was in a world other than Tianhai realm. Those places were the true heavens for the strong. Prodigies and monstrous prodigies were as common as clouds. To be able to enter the top 100 by the old man, he was definitely not simple. Thank you for your praise, senior. Lin Yi bowed slightly to the old man. He was shocked that even he couldn't see through the old man's cultivation. He didn't know the old man's cultivation realm and strength at all. One had to know that his divine will was powerful and could see things that his eyes couldn't see. He didn't expect that the old man's cultivation was so high that even his divine will couldn't see through it. This meant that there was a problem. Either the old man's cultivation was very high, or the old man had a treasure that could hide his cultivation, or the old man had sealed his cultivation so that it would only be discovered during battle. Young friend, what do you need? Jubao Pavilion has everything you need. The old man nodded in satisfaction. The young man in front of him had a good cultivation and was polite. A businessman was a businessman. Everything was based on business. Chapter 81. I have some items that I can't use. I want to exchange these items for spirit stones or some precious treasures. Lin Yi stated his purpose. The Jubao Pavilion was one of the largest trading companies in the Sky Sea City. He believed that the Jubao Pavilion would be able to buy the items he had. Of course, he still wanted to rely on the Jubao Pavilion to find the 5-colored divine stones needed for the Chaos Divine Tree. Of course, the premise was that he couldn't be taken advantage of. Sure. Young friend, let me take a look. The old man was called Zhao Shiqing. He was the manager of the Jubao Pavilion in the Sky Sea realm. Everything was decided by him. No one knew his cultivation level and strength. Lin Yi, Luo Bingyue, and Murong Lingling sat in front of the tea table. The maidservant served tea and snacks. Murong Lingling looked at Lin Yi curiously, wondering what Lin Yi was going to sell. Although this junior brother was young, he gave off a mysterious vibe. His entire being was like a mystery. Senior, please take a look. Lin Yi used his divine will. A few storage bags appeared in the 9-fold space. He stretched out his hand and handed the storage bags to Zhao Shiqing. Before leaving the mystic realm, he had already organized the items he was going to sell. He put them in a few storage bags so that he didn't have to organize them at the last minute. As Zhao Shiqing took the storage bags and opened them out of politeness. In his opinion, although Lin Yi was a genius, Some of the items he couldn't use weren't that precious. If it wasn't for Murong Lingling, he wouldn't have looked at them personally. But when he saw the items in the storage bags, his expression changed. The storage bags were full of precious items. Heaven-tier beast cores and materials. King-tier beast cores and materials. There were even Emperor-tier beast cores and materials. In addition to beast cores and materials, there were also Heaven-tier martial skills, Heaven-tier cultivation techniques, spirit and sage artifacts, as well as some precious treasures. These were all resources that super experts needed the most. He had seen countless treasures of heaven and earth, as well as countless precious cultivation methods and martial skills. But this was the first time he saw so many at the same time. "Senior, what is it?" Lin Yi looked at Zhao Shiqing and asked. "I'm fine. These are all precious resources. Allow this old man to check." Zhao Shiqing did not hide his shock. Then Zhao Shiqing called for 2 more elders. The 2 elders that came later were called Zhu Sun and Ling Fang. Both of them were Yin-Yang realm super experts. Based on the feeling they gave Lin Yi, they were definitely stronger than Qin Shaotian by several levels. They were not people Lin Yi could contend against. The 3 old men checked the items inside the inventory bag, while Lin Yi, Luo Bingyue, and Murong Lingling. They sat by the side, sipping tea and snacks as they talked about the heavenly sea sect. Time passed by second. After 2 hours, Zhao Shiqing and the other 2 finally finished checking the items and calculated the total price. "Little friend, I've finished checking your items. A total of 330 million spirit stones. What do you think?" Zhao Shiqing asked. He stated the total value of these items. 330 million. "Okay, that's the price." Lin Yi pondered for a moment before agreeing. He had estimated the value of these items to be about 200 million. He did not expect the real value to be 330 million spirit stones. 330 million spirit stones, this was a huge amount of wealth. He only had 1,000,000 spirit stones on him. In other words, he had never really used spirit stones before. Usually, he used gold coins. He understood that spirit stones were the currency and cultivation resources circulating among experts. Spirit stones. Not only was it a cultivation resource, it was also the currency circulating among experts, hard currency. "Little friend, this is the VIP card of the Jubao Pavilion. With this VIP card, you can enjoy a 20% discount from the Jubao Pavilion. It can be used in the 8 major trading companies." Seeing that the transaction was successful, Zhao Shiqing took out a chip from his arms. The chip was about the same size as Lin Ye's identity chip. "Thank you." Lin Yi handed his identity chip to Zhao Shiqing. Then, Zhao Shiqing integrated the information of the VIP card into Lin Ye's identity chip. At the same time, 330 million spirit stones were also stored in Lin Ye's identity chip. Murong Lingling's eyes were full of surprise and curiosity. This junior brother was really mysterious. If he were to be treated as an ordinary young man, then he wouldn't even know how he died. But this seemingly ordinary junior brother had a heaven-defying talent. "All right. Little friend, you said that you wanted to exchange for some treasures. What kind of resources do you need?" Zhao Shiqing was a businessman. Lin Yi had a few 100 million spirit stones in his hand. Naturally, he wanted Lin Yi to spend them in the Jubao Pavilion. At this moment, he no longer dared to look down on Lin Yi. To be able to sell so many precious resources, what he needed must be extraordinary. "Senior, what do I need?" "It's too rare and hard to find. 5-colored God Stone, myriad spirit water, and sky heart divine fruit." Lin Ye's heart sank when he thought of Biluo's words. These things were too precious. In his opinion, the 5-colored God Stone was something that only existed in the legends. These were just materials to revive the chaotic divine tree. Was the chaotic divine tree really that magical? If it was really that miraculous, then even if he had to give up everything he had, he would still plant it. 5-colored Godstone. Sky Heart Divine Fruit. Myriad Spirit Water. As expected, Zhao Shiqing heard that the 3 treasures Lin Yi needed were indeed rare. It was not accurate to say that they were rare. In other words, these 3 treasures had long gone extinct. They only existed in myths and legends. They were not things that martial artists could come into contact with. Lin Yi knew that Zhao Shiqing could not possibly find these 3 treasures. He gave a nonchalant as a response. I really don't know about the Sky Heart Divine Fruit, but the 5-colored Godstone and Myriad Spirit Water. I've heard of them and they have appeared before. Zhao Shiqing's expression was interesting. The things that a young man needed were so magical. They were indeed not simple. Senior, do you have news about the Myriad Spirit Water and 5-colored Godstone? Lin Yi did not care at first. But after hearing Zhao Shiqing's words, he could not help but be shocked. He looked at Zhao Shiqing. As long as there was a trace, he would search for it. That's right. The 5-colored Godstone is at the top of the 5-colored tower. The Myriad Spirit Water is in Wu Wang Dragon Palace. Zhao Shiqing cleared his throat and said the whereabouts of the 5-colored Godstone and Myriad Spirit Water. In other words, this was a piece of news, a legend. He was not sure whether it existed or not. Grandpa Zhao, is the 5-colored tower you mentioned the Sky Demon Tower? Wu Wang Dragon Palace should be in the Sea of Wu Wang. Chapter 82. It's the Sky-Reaching Demon Tower. The Wuwang Dragon Palace is in the Sea of Innocence. Zhao Shiqing nodded. 5-colored tower was what humans called it. However, its real name was the Sky-Reaching Demon Tower. The place where the Sky-Reaching Demon Tower was located was called a forbidden area by human experts because it was the holy land of demons. The Wuwang Dragon Palace was the holy land of the Dragon Clan. It was also the Sea of Innocence. These places were not places where humans could set foot in. These 2 places. They're not in the Sky Sea realm, right? Lin Ye's gaze shifted from Zhao Shiqing to Murong Lingling as he spoke. Although he hadn't been in contact with this world for a long time, he still had some understanding of the Sky Sea realm. The Sky-Reaching Demon Tower and the Wuwang Dragon Palace were definitely not in the Sky Sea realm. In other words, these 2 places were not in the Sky Sea realm. Yes. The Sky-Reaching Demon Tower is in the Western Wilderness region. The Wuwang Dragon Palace is in the Southern Horizon region. These 2 places are places where we can't set foot in. Murong Lingling answered. Her words reminded Lin Yi to give up on this idea. These 2 places were places where humans could not set foot in, at least not for the current Lin Yi. He couldn't even go there, let alone get the 5-colored divine stone and the all-spirit water. In that case, we'll talk about it later. Lin Yi could tell from Zhao Shiqing and Murong Lingling's expressions and words that the Sky-Reaching Demon Tower and the Wuwang Dragon Palace were forbidden areas for humans. Warriors didn't dare to set foot in them easily, let alone the all-spirit water and the 5-colored divine stone. Come to think of it, his current cultivation level was too low. In the Sky Sea realm, he was just a heaven's pride, not even an expert. He could only wait until he had enough strength to search for the 5-colored divine stone and the all-spirit water. If these 2 treasures were like this, then what about the Heavenly Heart Divine Fruit? As long as there's news, it's a good thing. The old man in front of me has reached the Void Refinement realm. A place that even he doesn't dare to touch is naturally not simple. So, you have to quickly improve your cultivation and strive to find the 3 treasures. If the Chaos Divine Tree is alive, you'll be truly heaven-defying and will gain endless benefit. Biluo's voice sounded in his mind. There was also a hint of excitement and anticipation in his voice. Void Refinement Realm, no wonder I couldn't see through his cultivation. Although Lin Yi knew that Zhao Shiqing's cultivation was very high, he did not expect that he had reached the voiding realm, which was even more powerful than the yin-yang realm. Such a person could crush him to death with a single finger. Not only the void refinement stage. He's even reached the peak of the 9th level of the void refinement stage. With your current cultivation and strength, he can crush you in a single breath. Of course, don't be discouraged. As long as you work hard, surpassing him will be easy. Biluo's voice continuously attacked Lin Yi. It was one thing for him to be at the void refinement stage. Unexpectedly, he was still at the peak of the voiding realm. One could imagine that this old man was probably one of the strongest figures in the entire Sky Sea realm. Otherwise, it would be impossible for the Jubao Pavilion to gain a foothold in Heavenly Sea City. Didn't you say before that you would lend me your power? Lend me your strength. Can I defeat him? Lin Yi snickered in his heart. He wanted to anger Biluo. No. Your physique is too weak. I don't have enough strength. Moreover, some things have a chance, and there are rules when there are chances. If I lend you my strength now, I can instantly kill an opponent who is 10 levels higher than you. The stronger you are, the stronger I am, and the stronger the power I lend you will be. Biluo was not angry because of Lin Yi's words. Instead, she told Lin Yi that he was still too weak. Lin Yi was still too weak. If Lin Yi was weak, Biluo was weak, and the power she borrowed was also weak. In one word, he was still weak. Alright, you win. Even if I don't lend you my strength, I can still instantly kill a person at the 1st or 2nd level of the yin-yang realm. After Lin Yi finished speaking, he ignored Biluo. He stood up and bid farewell to Zhao Shiqing. Luo Bingyue, Murong Lingling, and Lin Yi left the Jubao Pavilion together. After returning to the Tianhai sect, Lin Yi became the target of envy for countless geniuses, because Murong Lingling and Luo Bingyue were with him. How dare an outer sect youth touch their goddesses? Intolerable. Intolerable. However, Lin Yi completely ignored them. He returned to his own pavilion and began to cultivate. Luo Bingyue and Murong Lingling also returned to the inner sect. The Starry Sky Divine Art is also known as the Starry Sky Law. Even in the entire universe, it is one of the most powerful divine art. The Luo Water Scripture is such a low-level art. Don't cultivate it. Lin Yi sat cross-legged in his pavilion. A simple restriction array isolated him from the world. Biluo's voice sounded in his mind. Can the Luo Water Scripture be integrated into the Starry Sky Divine Art? Don't tell me you want me to cultivate it again, Lin Yi said. It was not easy to cultivate another art. If things went wrong, he might have to cultivate it again. You should cultivate the Starry Sky Divine Art first. What a powerful art! Return to origin. All arts come from the same source. I believe you will soon succeed in cultivating the Starry Sky Divine Art. Don't worry, you won't have to cultivate it again, Biluo said. In fact, it would only take 1 or 2 months for Lin Yi to cultivate it again. However, Lin Yi did not have the time or resources to cultivate it again. Fortunately, the Starry Sky Divine Art did not require him to cultivate it again. This was because all heaven-defying arts came from the same source, return to origin. Alright then. Lin Yi nodded and began to cultivate the Starry Sky Divine Art. As for the Luo Water Scripture, there was only the first volume, which could only be cultivated to the void refining realm. He was worried about the art, but he did not expect to obtain such a heaven-defying art like the Starry Sky Divine Art. A saint-level, peerless saint-level art would shock the world. 1 day, 2 days. A month passed. Finally, Lin Yi succeeded in cultivating the Starry Sky Divine Art. The moment he successfully cultivated the Starry Sky Divine Art, his cultivation realm also had a breakthrough. 6th level of all creation. 7th level of all creation. 8th level of all creation. 9th level of all creation. ninth level of all creation. Finally, he stopped. He thought he had wasted a month, but he did not expect to get such a heaven-defying harvest. Not only did he break through 4 levels, but his strength was also countless times stronger because of the starry sky divine art. If his strength was twice as strong as his peers at the beginning, then now it was 10 to 20 times stronger. This was the shock brought by the power of the art. Of course, 1 month in the outside world was 8 months in the ninefold space. Comprehending a new art in 8 months was already a heaven-defying feat. One had to know that for a heaven-level or saint-level art, it would take an expert several years or decades to comprehend it. Some might not even succeed in their lifetime. 8 months was indeed very short. During this time, Murong Lingling and Luo Bingyue came several times. When the 2 women arrived, Lin Yi left the ninefold space. After Murong Lingling and Luo Bingyue left, he entered the ninefold space again to cultivate. Lin Yi and Luo Bingyue were still friends, but they were much closer. As for Murong Lingling and Lin Yi, their relationship had already surpassed that of friends, and they were more like a couple. Of course, this was also because of Murong Lingling. Lin Ye's heart was completely focused on cultivation. Little brother Lin Yi. On this day, Lin Yi had just finished cultivating when he heard Murong Lingling's voice. During this time, he had changed from junior brother to little brother Lin Yi. Chapter 83. Lingling. Lin Yi couldn't help but shake his head. Murong Lingling came at the right time. If she had come earlier, he would have been at a crucial point in his cultivation. He calmed himself down and left the ninefold space. When he opened the door, he saw Murong Lingling in a light blue dress. "I hope I didn't disturb your cultivation." Murong Lingling stepped forward and held Lin Ye's hand. In her eyes, Lin Yi only knew how to cultivate. He was a cultivation maniac. Of course, she admired him in her heart. Not only was Lin Yi a monstrous talent, he was also very hard-working in his cultivation. "I just finished my cultivation." "Lingling, why are you looking for me?" Lin Yi looked at Murong Lingling and asked. Murong Lingling rarely came to his place. Firstly, she had to cultivate, and secondly, she didn't want to disturb Lin Ye's cultivation. However, every time she came to Lin Yi, it was either because she had something to do or because she wanted to go out to play. It was said to be a good way to relax one's mind so that one could cultivate better after relaxing one's mind. "Let me tell you something. The demon god cult's young master has come to Tianhai City. The demon sect's young master is here too. The Tianhai sect's recruitment has begun." Murong Lingling's beautiful face was full of smiles. She had already guessed that the demon sect's young master and demon god cult's young master were here for Lin Yi. Because among the items that Lin Yi had sold, there were items from the demon sect and demon sect. Of course, this was just her guess. One had to know that the demon sect and demon god cult were paying attention to the Tianhai sect's recruitment. If there were any talented disciples, the demon sect and demon god cult would secretly eliminate them. They didn't want the Tianhai sect's talented disciples to grow into super experts and become a threat. The Tianhai sect's experts were the same. They would secretly eliminate the demon sect and demon sect's talented disciples. "Oh, it's already started. Let's go take a look." Lin Yi heard the news. He didn't care about the demon sect's young master and demon sect's young master at all. He cared about the Tianhai sect's recruitment. Because, this time, there was a possibility that a genius from Cloudwater City would appear. He was most concerned about Luo Xing and Luo Ling. "That's why I'm here. Let's see if there are any super geniuses this year." Murong Lingling didn't think that Lin Yi would also pay attention to this batch of disciples. Although he didn't know the reason, he wanted to go with Lin Yi. What she wanted more was to be with Lin Yi. The Heavenly Sea sect's decennial disciple recruitment was extraordinarily lively. All the geniuses of the entire Sky Sea realm wanted to become a member of the Heavenly Sea sect. The Tianhai sect has a rule. As long as they were not from the devil-god religion or the demonic sect, everyone else would have the opportunity to join the Heavenly Sea sect. This was not the case only for this batch. It was the same in the past. Other than humans, there were other races in the Heavenly Sea sect. It was common for some weak races to be affiliated with humans everywhere. Elves, dragons, half-humans, giants, dwarves, in short, as long as they were not from the devil-god religion or the demonic sect, they had the right to enjoy the same treatment as humans. This time, the quota for the external disciple recruitment was still 3,000. However, the number of people competing was higher than in the previous batches. In previous batches, the largest number was around 100,000. This time, there were more than 300,000. More than 300,000 geniuses, all of them at the manifestation realm, all of them at the 9th grade spiritual heritage, or had special constitutions and outstanding skills. Sister Silent Soul, do you think we can enter the Heavenly Sea sect? More than 300,000 geniuses participated in the Heavenly Sea sect's disciple recruitment. These geniuses came from humans and other races. The giants were tall and mighty. The dwarves were strong and smart. The elves were beautiful and beautiful. The half-humans had human heads and beast bodies. The dragons were all extraordinarily talented. However, it wasn't that easy to become a member of the Heavenly Sea sect. Only 3,000 out of 300,000 geniuses could enter the Heavenly Sea sect. Moreover, these people were all geniuses, the top geniuses of the Sky Sea realm. It was easy to imagine how difficult it would be to stand out. In the sea of people, a young and beautiful pair of geniuses from the elf clan whispered to each other. There was a look of anticipation on their faces. The one who spoke was a 13 or 14-year-old girl. Beside her was a beautiful woman in her 20s. It's very difficult. It's mainly because our talents are cursed by the ancient curse. Only after reaching the void refinement realm can we display our talent. Moreover, we are not good at fighting. These 2 points put us at a disadvantage. The chances of us entering the Heavenly Sea sect are slim. The woman called Sister Silent Soul shook her head. A total of 7 geniuses from the elf clan came for this trip. However, none of them had much confidence in entering the Heavenly Sea sect. Sister Silent Soul, look. That senior sister from the Heavenly Sea sect is as beautiful as you. Ling Shi tugged at Silent Soul's hand and looked into the distance. There was a look of surprise on her little face. In her opinion, there were very few humans who were as beautiful as her sister Silent Soul. She didn't expect to see a woman who was comparable to Sister Silent Soul as soon as she arrived at the Heavenly Sea sect. Shouldn't beauty be exclusive to the elf clan? Actually, she was very, very beautiful. It was just that she was young and not as stunning as Silent Soul. In other words, Ling Shi was more beautiful than Silent Soul. She was dressed in a light green dress and had a sweet smile on her beautiful little face. Her beautiful eyes were extremely lively. Her existence explained the beauty of the elf clan. Lively, cute, lively, and beautiful. This was the description for her. That's an inner sect disciple of the Heavenly Sea sect. The inner sect disciples are all insanely talented. But, who is the young man beside her? Silent Soul followed Ling Shi's gaze and suddenly couldn't help but light up. Her beautiful face revealed a look of envy. In her line of sight was a woman in a light blue dress. The woman was extremely beautiful and wore the badge of the Heavenly Sea sect on her left chest. From the badge, it could be seen that she was an inner sect disciple. She believed that she wasn't inferior to the woman. But, the woman was already an inner sect disciple of the Heavenly Sea sect. While she was envious, she was even more confused. She saw that the beautiful girl was holding hands with a young man. The young man was ordinary. He didn't look good. And he was just an outer sect disciple. She didn't understand. Such a beautiful girl with status, talent, and looks, why would she be with an ordinary outer sect young man? Sister Silent Soul. I can't see through that young man's talent. Ling Shi's lively eyes flashed with a mysterious light. The mysterious light flashed and disappeared. But, just like that, everything in the world changed color and thunder appeared in the void. The sky was furious. Ling Shi's eyes returned to their original state. Chapter 84. Oh! Seems like he's not that simple. Hearing Lingxi's words, Silent Soul couldn't help but be surprised. She knew that with Lingxi's talent, no one could escape from her eye of destiny. She didn't expect that this seemingly ordinary young man could escape from the eye of destiny. While the two were talking about the girl and the young man and the girl seemed to have sensed something and looked at the two girls. Elf tribe. There was a sweet smile on Murong Lingling's beautiful face. She looked at the elf tribe prodigy and said, "That girl has a special talent." Lin Yi glanced at the elf tribe girl from afar. He couldn't help but be shocked. Just now, he felt like someone was going to see through him. This gaze was definitely not the gaze of an ordinary expert, but a mysterious technique. Fortunately, his divine will was strong, otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to detect it. For a moment, he was interested in the girl. Little guy. Eye of destiny. At this time, Biluo, who was sleeping in his mind, spoke. There was a hint of excitement in her voice, as if she had seen a treasure. What is the eye of destiny? Lin Yi communicated with Biluo through divine will, and asked curiously. He did feel that the girl was a little magical, but he didn't expect Biluo to discover it. But what was the eye of destiny? He didn't know. He really didn't know. The eye of destiny can see through destiny. See through time and space and see the future. The eye of destiny and the eye of luck are known as the most magical and ethereal existences. You have a choice, either destroy her or have her, Biluo said seriously. She had never seen the eye of destiny and the eye of luck. They only existed in legends, or had never appeared before. If the eye of destiny was an enemy of Lin Yi would be doomed eternally. If it was one of their own, it would be of great help to Lin Yi. Therefore, she let Lin Yi choose. Erase the girl. Or keep the girl. Is it really that magical? Do I have to choose one? Lin Yi was stunned. He was not a bloodthirsty person, nor was he a sentimental person. This girl was indeed beautiful, comparable to Luo Xing'er and Luo Bingyue. However, he could not let this girl stay. I'd rather believe it. I can't believe it. Do you know where you came from? Biluo's tone was more serious than before. Although she didn't believe that the eye of destiny and the eye of fortune were really that terrifying, she didn't dare to gamble. Moreover, Lin Ye's fate was in his hands right now. If he missed this opportunity, he might be doomed eternally. I don't know. Lin Yi shook his head inwardly. He really didn't know about his background. Who were his parents? Where did he come from? Everything was shrouded in mystery. Biluo had discovered his problem, which meant that some vague things might really exist. The girl called Silent Soul. He's not an elf. He's a nine-tailed celestial fox. Without waiting for Lin Yi to consider, Biluo's voice sounded again. This time, Lin Yi was even more shocked and curious. He didn't expect that girl to be a nine-tailed celestial fox. The nine-tailed celestial fox belonged to the demon clan. However, the fox clan never admitted that they were demons. The nine-tailed celestial fox was the royal family of the fox clan. Every 10,000 years, a nine-tailed celestial fox would appear in the royal family of the fox clan. The nine-tailed celestial fox was the true ruler of the fox clan. The women of the fox clan were extremely beautiful and charming. Every woman of the fox clan was a beauty that could bring disaster to a country. A nine-tailed celestial fox in human form. At least the void refinement realm. Isn't she afraid of being discovered by the Tianhai sect? Lin Yi looked at the girl called Silent Soul and communicated with Biluo in his mind. The more heaven-defying a foreign race being was, the greater the price to pay and the more difficult it was to transform into a human form. This little nine-tailed celestial fox could transform into a human form, so her cultivation was at least at the void refinement realm. It was impossible for her to be at the void refinement realm. It was obvious that he had concealed or sealed his cultivation base. However, even so, she couldn't escape the eyes of the heavenly sea sect. Her talent and cultivation are sealed. However, the heavenly sea sect will turn a blind eye to it. If such a person grows up and is still a disciple of the heavenly sea sect, it will be beneficial to the heavenly sea sect. Of course, the heavenly sea sect won't refuse such a thing. Besides, the Fox clan is considered a demon, but not a demon. It has nothing to do with the demon god cult. The heavenly sea sect won't pay attention to her. Biluo's voice sounded. During this period of time in the heavenly sea sect, she had been in Lin Ye's sea of consciousness. However, she had a certain understanding of this world. I see. I won't talk to you anymore. Lin Yi came to a sudden realization. Thinking about it, it made sense. If he was in the upper echelons of the heavenly sea sect, he would also turn a blind eye. Besides, even if the nine-tailed fox's cultivation and talent were unsealed, she couldn't cause any big waves here. Seeing the elf girl and silent soul walking over, Lin Yi stopped talking to Biluo. Greetings, senior sister. Greetings, senior brother. Silent Soul and Lingxi passed through the crowd and came to Lin Yi and Murong Lingling. The two of them were a little restrained as they bowed to Murong Lingling and Lin Yi. According to the rules, those who didn't enter the Heavenly Sea Sect couldn't address the disciples of the Heavenly Sea Sect as fellow disciples. However, from the way Silent Soul addressed Lin Yi and Murong Lingling, it meant that Silent Soul was confident of entering the Heavenly Sea Sect and becoming a member of the Heavenly Sea Sect. If Lin Yi didn't know that Silent Soul was a nine-tailed fox, he would really admire the confidence of this girl in front of him. Little brother. Pretty sister. The girl's beautiful face was a little immature. But her smile was innocent, lively, and cute, and her eyes were lively. An elf was an elf. When she spoke, her voice was pleasant to the ears like a lark singing. Little brother? Pretty sister. Murong Lingling and Lin Yi were stunned when they heard the way the girl addressed them. Then, a smile appeared on their faces. This pretty and cute little girl really made people feel comfortable. She was 13 or 14 years old and indescribably beautiful. Other than a little immature, she was almost perfect. You're here to participate in the Heavenly Sea Sect's assessment, right? How is it? How confident are you? Lin Yi couldn't help but walk up and gently stroke the girl's head. This girl was too pretty and cute. In fact, he wasn't much older than this girl. Yes. My name is Silent Soul. Silent Soul and Lingxi nodded and answered. Little brother. My name is Lingxi. Lingxi didn't reject Lin Ye's touch at all. She couldn't help but feel a little surprised. One had to know that she was an elf and was naturally close to heaven and earth. She was favored by nature and could feel the consciousness of any living being. This little brother in front of her didn't have a trace of malice or evil. What surprised her even more was that this little brother gave her a sense of closeness. It was like he was her family. Lingxi. Yes, good luck. Lin Yi said with a smile. As someone who cultivated the 3,000 heavenly Tao, his divine will was powerful, his senses were sharp, and his mind was monstrous. Naturally, he could feel the pure soul of this little girl. This elf girl named Lingxi gave him a sense of closeness. This was the first time he had felt this way. Boom! Just as the four of them were talking, a muffled explosion erupted in the Heavenly Sea Sect's square. The ground shook, and countless prodigies who came to participate in the assessment couldn't help but tremble. Chapter 85. Boom! Boom! Sounds of explosions rang out one after another. At the same time, the air twisted, and gusts of wind blew people away. This scene made countless prodigies look in the direction of the sound. A 3-meter-tall youth was walking out of the celestial sea sect step by step. The muffled rumbles on the ground were his footsteps. His terrifying aura and domineering pressure made countless geniuses feel like they were suffocating. The youth's body emitted a dark golden light. This youth was a body cultivator. He had reached the greater mastery stage and had unparalleled combat power. So powerful! He's a senior brother from the inner sect. What a terrifying aura! He's from the giant tribe. He's ranked 37th in the inner sect, Tuda. He must have broken through. For a moment, the more than 300,000 geniuses participating in the assessment, as well as the experts from the Heavenly Sea City and the disciples of the Heavenly Sea sect, were all shocked to see how powerful the young man was. Many of them recognized the youth's identity. He was a super genius from the Heavenly Sea sect, Tuda from the giant tribe. 7th level Yin-Yang realm, body cultivator. He was ranked 37th among the inner sect disciples. This showed how powerful he was. Tuda's appearance caused countless prodigies to cheer in admiration. Boom! Boom! The youth Tuda walked toward Linyi. Everyone avoided him wherever he went. Tuda's name was cheered by countless prodigies. Countless women were even more infatuated. Even the elders and experts in charge of the Heavenly Sea sect's assessment nodded and greeted him. One had to know that an expert like him would only need time. He would most likely become a core member of the Heavenly Sea sect. Lingling, what's wrong? Linyi realized that Murong Lingling was nervous, and her little hand was tightly holding onto his hand. Moreover, the expression on his face was a little nervous. His name is Tuda. Murong Lingling said softly. Her beautiful eyes looked at Linyi, and she could not help but worry. He's one of Lingling's admirers, right? Not bad. He's very powerful. Linyi looked at Murong Lingling and couldn't help but smile. A beautiful girl like Murong Lingling had countless admirers. There must be countless top prodigies in the Heavenly Sea sect who were pursuing Murong Lingling. Tuda was one of them. That guy from the outer sect is done for. He deserves it. He's just an ordinary outer sect disciple. Senior Lingling is my goddess. She's not someone an outer sect disciple can touch. Everyone in the Heavenly Sea sect knows that Senior Tuda is pursuing Senior Lingling. I don't know what Senior Sister Lingling is thinking. Senior Brother Tuda is 100 or even 1,000 times stronger than that outer sect disciple, but he's willing to degrade himself and walk with that outer sect disciple. Do you think that the outer sect disciple will kneel down? That's for sure. Even the strongest person in the outer sect wouldn't dare to offend Senior Brother Tuda. Everyone in the Heavenly Sea sect knew of Tuta's reputation. He was practically the representative of geniuses and monsters. He was ranked 37th on the prodigy roll. Even some powerful elders were no match for him. In other words, other than the 10 great elders and grand elders, as well as the palace master, the most powerful people were the prodigies on the prodigy roll. They were all gloating when they saw Tuda's appearance. In his mind, he could already imagine Lin Ye's fate. Whoosh! Tuda stopped when he was 10 meters away from Linyi. An earth-shattering pressure came crashing down on Linyi. He was high and mighty. Linyi smiled and didn't move in the face of Tuda's aura. Trying to compete with Linyi in terms of aura was just asking to be humiliated. Lingling. You've fallen. Tuda glanced at Linyi, whether intentionally or not. In other words, Lin Ye's existence was a joke. With his status and position, he didn't want to be calculative with an ordinary outer sect disciple. He didn't want to embarrass himself. What he meant was that Murong Lingling purposely found a piece of trash to disgust him. Tuda, what did you say? Be clear of your status. You're a core disciple. I'm also a core disciple. You can't interfere with my business. Murong Lingling stood out with anger in her eyes. She knew that Tuda was trying to humiliate Lin Yi and Linyi. Of course, she wouldn't agree. As he spoke, He casually took a step forward and stood in front of Lin Yi. Lingling, it's fine if you don't agree. You chose Zhong Lihen, Tianjiani, and even the Audiobook. But you just randomly found a piece of trash. Aren't you humiliating me? Many people knew that Tuda liked Murong Lingling. However, Murong Lingling was one of the 10 goddesses of the Heavenly Sea sect. No matter who it was, she wouldn't give them the slightest chance. In the eyes of the Heavenly Sea sect's prodigies, there was no one in the Heavenly Sea sect that Murong Lingling liked. Tuda was furious. He would accept it even if she chose someone in the top 10 on the prodigy roll. Even if she chose the Audiobook, which was slightly weaker than him, he would accept it. But Murong Lingling liked an outer sect piece of trash. Lingling. Let's go. Lin Yi looked at Tuda and said. He didn't want to waste his time here. His good mood was ruined by this big guy. Okay. Murong Lingling nodded obediently. Her obedient look melted the hearts of all the prodigies. This was Murong Lingling, one of the 10 goddesses of the Heavenly Sea sect. How could she be so gentle? Many people thought that if Murong Lingling treated them like this, it would be worth it even if they died. Did I allow you to leave? I'm in a bad mood today. Originally, you didn't have the right to make me do it. But today I'll make an exception. Get out of the Heavenly Sea sect yourself, or I'll do it myself. Make your choice. Tuda almost went berserk when he saw that Lin Yi was ignoring him. How dare someone that he thought was trash ignore him? How could he leave so easily without his permission? That was obviously impossible. Tuda, don't go overboard. He's also a disciple of the Heavenly Sea sect. Murong Lingling's eyes were filled with anger. She didn't look angry at all, which made her even more attractive in the eyes of the prodigies. Lingling, I didn't get his permission. You really can't leave. Lin Yi looked at Murong Lingling with a smile on his face. His words stunned Murong Lingling, and she didn't know how to reply. Little brother. Looks like you're in trouble. Murong Lingling didn't reply. Lingxi said with a sweet and innocent smile. Although she didn't know how strong Lin Yi was, she was sure that this little brother wasn't a match for the big guy. There was a huge difference in their status, age, and cultivation. Not really. Lin Yi smiled. Troublesome, it was indeed troublesome. He didn't expect to encounter such a situation just to watch the Heavenly Sea sect's assessment. Have you thought it through? Tuda's expression became uglier and uglier. Things had already come to this, and he still pretended to be relaxed. He was simply asking for death. In Tuda's heart, he even thought that Lin Yi was an idiot. Not only was he trash, but he was also stupid. Are you retarded? Or are you delusional? In the square, countless prodigies were watching Lin Yi and Tuda as if they were watching a show. Or rather, they were watching how Lin Yi would be played to death by Tuda. For a moment, they were all guessing what Lin Yi would do. But, to everyone's surprise, Lin Yi actually said something like that. He was really asking for death. Chapter 86. The square was in an uproar. They didn't expect Lin Yi to provoke Tuda. He wasn't provoking Tuda. He was courting death. Provoking Tuda was no different from committing suicide. Murong Lingling. You found yourself a piece of trash. Tuda was so angry that he laughed. He had been challenged countless times since he came to the Tianhai sect, but the challengers always regretted it. He had been challenged by innumerable people, and without exception, those who had challenged him had all collapsed. He had challenged countless people, and won 9 out of 10 battles. The only time he lost was to Yang Ao, who was ranked 20th on the prodigy roll. It didn't matter who he challenged. It was still someone who challenged him. All of them were super geniuses. All of them were prodigy elite. And right in front of her, a piece of trash appeared in front of her. She was ignored by a piece of trash, and then scolded by this piece of trash. It was unbelievable. Tuda, do you really want to be my enemy? Whatever happens to him has nothing to do with you. Lin Yi is someone I like. If you make things difficult for him, you're making an enemy out of me. Murong Lingling's eyes were filled with anger. She didn't accept Tuda's pursuit. But at least she didn't hate Tuda. After all, he had the freedom to pursue others. Moreover, Tuda was one of the 108 prodigy disciples of the Tianhai sect and ranked 37th on the prodigy roll. He would be the pillar of the Tianhai sect in the future. She didn't want to offend him. But everyone had their own bottom line. Her bottom line was that she didn't want to see the person she liked being humiliated. After saying the last sentence, Murong Lingling's beautiful face blushed. It was a disguised confession. She was embarrassed, but she felt relieved. Oh my God, this world is crazy. Senior Sister Lingling confessed to an ordinary outer sect disciple. Is Senior Sister Lingling crazy? Where is the justice? How can a goddess like a person with three nothingness? What do you mean by three nothingness? He has no looks, no talent, and no strength. My heart is broken. I'm a goddess, but I confess to someone else. How can a goddess confess to someone else? On the Tianhai Square, countless Tianhai sect disciples and elites of the Tianhai city were shocked after hearing Murong Lingling's words. It was as deafening as spring thunder. For a moment, the square was abuzz with discussion. The hundreds of thousands of geniuses participating in the assessment could not believe what they were seeing. Miracles were everywhere. The ancients did not deceive me. That's Lin Yi from Shenwu College. He's the chosen one of the Yunshui kingdom. Who would have thought that Lin Yi would actually become a disciple of the Heavenly Sea sect, even if it's just an outer sect? How did he enter the Heavenly Sea sect? They were all geniuses from the 4 universities of Yunshui Kingdom. He also recognized Lin Yi from Tianhai Square. Immediately, countless people were pleasantly surprised, and countless people felt ashamed. Lin Yi had entered the Tianhai sect and brought glory to the Yunshui Kingdom. Naturally, they were overjoyed. However, Lin Yi's arrogance in the Heavenly Sea sect made them feel ashamed. Okay. Very good. Tuda almost broke down when he saw Murong Lingling confessing to Lin Yi. For a moment, all his anger and disappointment were vented on Lin Yi. If it wasn't for this piece of trash, Murong Lingling would have been his. But now, Murong Lingling rejected him in front of hundreds of thousands of elites and confessed to a piece of trash like Lin Yi. It was so humiliating that he even wanted to die. Boom. He took a step forward, and his aura surged toward Lin Yi. He wanted to crush Lin Yi in front of everyone and let everyone know that he, Tuda, was not to be messed with. Of course. But you won't be so good today. Lin Yi felt the overbearing aura of a 7th stage yin-yang realm, and his battle intent soared. He activated the Starry Sky Divine Art and took a step forward. In an instant, an incomparably domineering aura fiercely met the attack. Boom! Their auras collided, and there was a muffled sound. The destructive force raged, and the wind blew. There was no one left within 1,000 meters. Only Lin Yi and Tuda were left. Sigh. Everyone sighed. On the square, countless elites' expressions changed. They didn't expect this ordinary outer sect disciple to be able to resist Tuda's aura with his aura. Moreover, Lin Yi's aura wasn't any weaker than Tuda's aura. Was he still an ordinary outer sect disciple? Was he still trash? Was he really an idiot? They couldn't help but look at Lin Yi in shock. They got to know Lin Yi again. It didn't matter if Lin Yi was Tuda's match or not. Just the fact that he could resist Tuda's aura with his aura was enough to prove that he wasn't trash. After all, he was only a 15-year-old youth. He was only at the manifestation realm. Tuda was an inner sect disciple. He was the 108th true disciple. He was ranked 37th on the prodigy roll. Humph. Tuda didn't expect Lin Yi to be able to resist his aura. Others might not know, but he knew that even Yang Ao, who was ranked 20th on the prodigy roll, couldn't resist his aura easily. However, the youth in front of him managed to resist it. He even felt that the terrifying aura was suppressing him. He naturally didn't know how powerful the starry sky divine skill that Lin Yi cultivated was. He was at the 9th level of the manifestation realm. Even if he didn't cultivate the starry sky divine skill, he could still resist Tuda's aura. He snorted coldly. His aura soared into the sky. The strength of a body cultivator was displayed at that moment. His body was like an indestructible diamond. He swung his arm and a huge fist smashed towards Lin Yi. This punch caused space to tremble incessantly. The experts who were watching from 1,000 meters away could also feel the terror of the punch. Among those of the same level, no one dared to take Tuda's punch, not even the top 10 prodigies. "I'll play with you." Lin Yi looked at the destructive fist smashing towards him. His body flashed and he advanced instead of retreating. Similarly, he smashed his fist towards Tuda. Heavenly Emperor Fist, Level 2. The fist intent was unparalleled, as if the Heavenly Emperor had descended. He, who was at the 9th level of the manifestation realm, felt that his body was filled with unparalleled power. His heart was filled with invincible battle intent. What? On the square, countless supreme talents saw that Lin Yi didn't dodge and even used his fist to take Tuda's punch. They couldn't take it anymore and their eyes almost popped out of their socket. Comparing strength and fists with a body cultivator was simply seeking death. Boom! There was an earth-shattering explosion and a destructive force swept across the square. The two fists collided with each other. What was disappointing was that no one was thrown away when the two fists collided. Lin Yi took 3 steps back. As for Tuda, his body swayed and he took 5 steps back. 5 footprints appeared on the ground. What was going on? Tuda's destructive punch didn't kill or break Lin Yi. Instead, he was pushed back 5 steps by Lin Yi. That was 2 steps more than Lin Yi. Did that mean that Lin Yi was more terrifying than Tuda? How is this possible? Tuda's face turned pale and he was shocked. He couldn't accept this reality. He was a body cultivator with unparalleled strength and defense. With one punch, a yin-yang realm expert of the same level would be severely injured even if they didn't die. However, was that really the case? However, why wasn't this young man at the manifestation realm seriously injured or dead? He even managed to push him back. "Nothing is impossible. Because you're too weak," Lin Yi said calmly. From the beginning to the end, he looked calm. Chapter 87. I'm too weak. Haha. When Tuda heard Lin Yi say that he was too weak, his heart trembled. He was a supreme genius who was high above everyone else. Countless supreme talents looked up to him, and everyone had always said that he was devilishly powerful. However, no one had ever said that he was too weak. If someone in the top 10 on the genius list or someone in the void refinement realm said that, he could still tolerate it. However, the person who said that he was too weak was just a piece of trash. I didn't want to fight. Unfortunately, someone is asking for it. Sigh. Lin Yi sighed. He had cultivated the starry sky divine skill, and his cultivation had reached level 9 of all creations. His strength shocked even himself. If he fought with all his strength, he was confident that he could kill Tuda in 3 moves. Die. Tuda seemed to have gone crazy. He activated his powerful true origin, and the power of yin and yang distorted the space. He took a step forward and crossed 20 meters in an instant. He appeared in front of Lin Yi and punched him. Ignorant. Lin Yi's thin body seemed like it could be blown away by a gust of wind. Compared to Tuda, it was like comparing an adult to a baby. However, his aura made people feel his majesty. He was like a mountain that could not be moved. He punched the Heavenly Emperor fist again. Boom. Boom. Suddenly, 2 figures flashed quickly on the Tianhai Square. The sound of fists colliding could be heard constantly. The wind was raging, and the terrifying power was rolling on the square. The battle between the two had created a vacuum of 1,000 meters in size on the square. The elders and experts of the Tianhai sect were maintaining the order. They did not want to be implicated and be implicated. Countless supreme talents who were participating in the assessment were excited to see such a battle. This was a battle between the senior brothers of the Tianhai sect. Tuda was from the giant clan. He was born with great strength and powerful combat strength. Moreover, his physique and defense were extremely strong. They were not something that experts of the same level could compare to. Fighting with him, especially when he had the advantage, would be even more passive. In the Tianhai sect, his physique and defense were the strongest. On the genius list, no one dared to say that they were number one. Even some of the more powerful elders were not as strong as his physique and defense. However, he met Lin Yi. Lin Yi, human. His body was thin, and he looked so weak that he could not even stand a gust of wind. He had the aura of a scholar, but under such a thin body, he had an unparalleled physique and defense, as well as an invincible attack. Starry Sky Divine Art, 9 Transformations of the Divine Dragon. Absolute Defense and the Rainbow Feather Raiment. As long as the battle began, these 4 items would automatically activate and display a terrifying defense and power. Awesome! Lin Yi couldn't help but want to shout out loud in his heart. This kind of battle was a real battle. During the battle, his combat experience continued to increase, and he was also able to integrate various cultivation methods and martial skills. He knew when to defend, when to attack, when to change to attack, and so on. What terrifying power! This is a true collision of power. Is the manifestation realm so powerful? Senior Brother Tuda is a body cultivator, and he's also a super powerhouse at the 7th level of Yin-Yang realm. His ability can be said to be invincible among those of the same level. Why can't he gain the upper hand in close combat? Since when did the outer sect become so powerful? Is he an ordinary outer sect disciple? Are ordinary disciples so powerful? This Lin Yi is a wolf in sheep's clothing. I'd better not provoke him in the future. Indeed, he can even fight Senior Brother Tuda, who's ranked 37th on the genius list. If he reaches the Yin-Yang realm, he'll definitely be in the top 10 of the genius list. On the Tianhai sect square, countless experts were watching the battle. Discussions and cheers caused the square to be in an uproar. What shocked everyone the most was Lin Yi. The trash that no one thought highly of was so powerful in battle. If one did not fight, one would not be able to tell that he was a terrifying expert. The method of pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger had already been perfected. This is not fun. After this battle, ordinary prodigies won't dare to provoke him. On the Tianhai sect's 9th mountain, a middle-aged expert was watching the battle on the Tianhai square. His eyes were glowing. He was even muttering to himself. If Lin Yi saw this middle-aged expert, he would recognize that this was the person who welcomed him into the Tianhai sect. Lin Yi had always wondered why he was only an outer sect disciple with his talent. Naturally, he did not know that this middle-aged expert was doing it on purpose. He purposely made Lin Yi into an ordinary disciple. A true monstrous genius would display his brilliance. This way, many inner sect prodigies would step on him. With his talent and strength, many prodigies would be at a disadvantage. The peaceful Tianhai sect would definitely become lively. The outer sect actually hid such a demon. How unexpected! Check his information for me. Tianhai Palace. The 10 great elders and the sect leader were all present. They were naturally concerned about the Tianhai sect's recruitment this time. They were constantly watching the Tianhai square. They did not expect such a scene to happen during the assessment. Inner sect prodigy role, ranked 37th, Tuda. He was actually fighting with a youth from the outer sect. To be able to fight with Tuda, he was definitely not a simple person. This is what I, Aolai, want. It's not something a mere human ant can get his hands on. At the edge of the Tianhai Square, a young man was watching the battle between Tuda and Lin Yi. He could not help but frown. According to the description of the people below, the one who obtained the treasure in the mystic realm was this youth called Lin Yi. As the young master of the demon god sect, he naturally would not let go of the things he wanted. A mere human dares to steal this young master's treasure? At the same Tianhai Square, a young man in black with a bamboo hat was watching the battle. He was emitting a cold aura and killing intent. He was the young master of the demon god sect. Rumble, rumble, the battle continued. And it was getting louder and louder. Heavenly Emperor Fist, Level 3. At this moment Lin Ye's voice was heard. However, he closed his eyes and activated the Starry Sky Divine Art. Overbearing True Origin surged as he threw out a punch. It seemed like a light punch, but it was filled with endless destructive power. Compared to the second level of the Heavenly Emperor Fist, the third level was countless times more powerful. In other words, the second level of the Heavenly Emperor Fist was on a completely different level from the third. If the second level of the Heavenly Emperor Fist was the inborn realm, then the third level of the Heavenly Emperor Fist was the manifestation realm or even the yin-yang realm. During the battle, he successfully comprehended and mastered the Heavenly Emperor Fist. The destructive fist radiance instantly bloomed in the air. Chapter 88. Crack. The destructive power collided with each other. Suddenly, the wind raged and the air twisted. The sound of a branch breaking could be heard in the air. When the sound was heard, a figure was sent flying like a kite with a short string. In the end, he landed hard on the ground 100 meters away. A cloud of dust rose from the ground. The figure drew an arc in the air and left a bloody scene. The battle finally stopped. The Tianhai Square was completely silent. Silence. That's right, silence. Hundreds of thousands of people were watching the battle, but there was no sound at all. The silence was oppressive and suffocating. Everyone's eyeballs were about to fall out. Shock and disbelief were written all over their faces. The person who was sent flying was not the small Lin Yi. It was the body cultivator elite Tuda, who was ranked 37th on the prodigy roll. The giant Tuda was defeated just like that. On the other hand, Lin Yi, who was at the side, stood motionless in the square. His face was calm, as if the battle just now had nothing to do with him. What was even more shocking was that Lin Ye's clothes were neat and tidy. He was not injured at all. Tuda, who was opposite him, had many wounds on his body. Blood kept flowing out from the corner of his mouth. A body cultivator elite was beaten to such a state. One could imagine how terrifying Lin Ye's abilities were. Sizzle! After a short silence, there was a wave of sighs. Everyone was shocked and took a deep breath. This was a battle. One was an ordinary outer sect disciple, level 9 all creation. The other was an inner sect true disciple, level 7 of yin-yang, a body cultivator ranked 37th on the prodigy roll. With such strength and status, there shouldn't have been any interactions between them, let alone a battle. However, they had appeared today, and the two of them had fought a great battle. The ending was unexpected. A powerful yin-yang realm body cultivator elite like Tuda was defeated by an ordinary outer sect disciple who was at level 10 all creation. What was even more shocking was that Lin Yi was only competing with Tuda using his body, defense, and strength. He did not use any weapons or other martial arts technique. What was the most domineering? It was to use the opponent's specialty to defeat the opponent's advantage. This time, Lin Yi used his body and defense to crush Tuda. Senior Tuda has lost. 7th level of the yin-yang realm, invincible among his peers, lost to a manifestation realm cultivator. Is this a miracle? He actually lost to Lin Yi in terms of physique, defense, and strength. This Lin Yi is too monstrous. It's really unexpected. With his strength, he will definitely enter the top 30. In a few years, he might even enter the top 20 or even the top 10. Boiling, completely boiling. The impact of the battle just now and the impact of the outcome of the battle. This made them suspicious. He doubted his own eyes and wondered if the world had gone crazy. The powerful senior brother Tuda had lost to an ordinary outer sect disciple, Lin Yi. Looking at Lin Ye's frail body, they didn't dare to look directly at him, nor did they dare to underestimate him, because his seemingly weak body hid a destructive power and ability. Even Tuda was no match for him. If other people were to fight him, they might be killed with a single punch. Most people only saw Lin Ye's victory over Tuda. Only a few people knew that Lin Ye's true strength wasn't just that. At that moment, many experts were curious. What was Lin Ye's true strength like? I said you're too weak. Am I right? Lin Yi stepped forward step by step and arrived in front of Tuda. He raised his hand and the domineering and destructive Heavenly Emperor fist was formed. He looked at Tuda coldly. He smirked and asked. His action made the hearts of hundreds of thousands of experts tremble. Was Lin Yi going to kill Tuda? Did he dare to kill Tuda? Sky Sea City didn't prohibit killing, but Tuda was a super genius of the Sky Sea sect. It would be a great loss to the Sky Sea sect if one of them died. The Sky Sea sect definitely wouldn't let Lin Yi kill him. However, they couldn't guess Lin Ye's intentions. Because Lin Yi was a complete exception. He was completely different. Who knew what unexpected things he would do? There was another reason. That was, Tuda had an elder brother. He was also an expert on the inner sect prodigy role, but he wasn't a body cultivator. This elder brother of his was the one who truly struck fear in others. Tu Ming was ranked 13th on the prodigy roll. That was 2 years ago. He didn't fight in those 2 years. Everyone guessed that Tuda's elder brother might be ranked 10th, but he didn't show it. If Lin Yi killed Tuda, Tuda wouldn't let Lin Yi go. That's right. I'm too weak. Tuda's face was filled with anger. He was ranked 37th on the prodigy roll. He definitely had the chance to surpass the Yin-Yang realm and become a powerful void refinement realm expert. He had always been high above the masses and was always admired. However, he was defeated by an outer sect manifestation realm young man. He was humiliated in front of everyone. Now, this despicable young man was humiliating him. He wanted to kill this despicable young man, but he couldn't do it. That was the most despicable thing. He was struggling in his heart. If he said he was too weak in front of everyone, he wouldn't be able to stay in the Sky Sea sect anymore. However, if he didn't admit it, if that terrifying fist smashed down, he would definitely be smashed into pieces. He also thought of his elder brother and the possibility that this young man wouldn't dare to kill him. However, he didn't dare to take the risk. Because this young man was too different, too monstrous. The things that monstrous and monstrous people did were often unexpected. She is my friend. Someone with evil thoughts towards her. Kill, heart. Lin Yi retracted his Heavenly Emperor fist and turned to look at Murong Lingling. He pointed at her and said loudly. Murong Lingling had confessed to him in another way, but he didn't dare to accept it. Because he was too weak and couldn't protect his family. He didn't want to implicate anyone. He would only accept it when he was strong enough to protect his family. However, he also made a declaration to everyone. The last 2 words were like a curse that made people tremble in fear. I've been rejected. Little brother Lin Yi, you're a bad guy. Murong Lingling thought to herself when she heard Lin Ye's words. She felt slightly disappointed. But soon, the disappointment turned into motivation. She also saw Lin Ye's steadiness, a steadiness that didn't match his age. If it was someone else, they would have confessed to her and accepted her immediately. However, Lin Yi didn't do that. because there was a type of person who didn't make promises easily, but once they said it, they would do it even if it meant death. Big Brother Lin. You're too strong. Lingxi's sweet and crisp voice sounded. Only now did she recover from her shock. She was still in shock from the beginning. She didn't expect this little brother to be so powerful. It was completely beyond her imagination. She knew that this little brother was called Lin Yi and his name Lin Yi. Suddenly, she changed from calling him little brother to Big Brother Lin. You're not bad either. I hope you can pass the test. Lingling, let's go. Lin Yi returned to Murong Lingling with an apologetic expression. He glanced at Lingxi and Silent Soul and said. Then, he took Murong Lingling's hand and left Tianhai Square. He had already discovered many geniuses from the Yunshui kingdom, but he didn't see Luo Ling and Luo Xing. He scanned with his divine telekinesis and didn't find them. If they were here, they would definitely come looking for him. However, they didn't appear, which meant that they weren't here. Want to leave? A cold voice sounded in the square. Chapter 89. Trying to leave? The cold voice was not loud, but countless experts heard it. Everyone who heard the voice felt their hearts tremble. It was as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. At the same time, a giant race powerhouse walked towards Lin Yi step by step. He was 3 meters tall and extremely strong. He was comparable to Tuda. This was the giant tribe. All of them were tall and strong. The newcomer walked slowly. He was not as strong and domineering as Tuda. He was just like an ordinary person, but he made people tremble in fear. That was because he was much stronger than Tuda. That was because he was Tu Ming. He was ranked 13th on the genius roll. He might even be able to make it to the top 10. When Lin Yi defeated Tuda, everyone knew that Tu Ming would definitely cause trouble for Lin Yi. However, they did not expect him to come so quickly. Had Tu Ming been at the Tianhai Square all along? Brother Tuda! Brother Tuda! The appearance of Tu Ming made countless disciples of the Tianhai sect cheer. He was the true monstrous expert of the Tianhai sect. In the future, he would have a place in the Tianhai sect. In the future, he might even become the sect leader of the Tianhai sect. Although he was only 1 level higher than Tuda, he was many times stronger than Tuda. In the Tianhai sect, other than the 10 great elders, the palace master and the grand elder, there were probably less than 10 people who could defeat him. Arrogance, such an attitude. Not only the giant tribe, but also the humans. That was the quality and character of a monstrous genius. Tu Ming was the same. Countless disciples of the Tianhai sect cheered his name, but he ignored them and walked towards Lin Yi. When he passed by Tuda, he did not even look at Tuda. Do you have a problem with that? Lin Yi looked at Tu Ming with a smile. He asked nonchalantly. Arrogant. He did not even address Tu Ming as senior brother. He did not even care about etiquette? Countless sky prides and experts thought to themselves. In the Tianhai sect, or even the entire world, the strong were respected. Senior brothers and senior sisters were the most powerful. Age was not the basis of status and qualifications. Strength was everything. Although he is useless. His surname is Tuesday. You are not bad, but you are too arrogant, too arrogant. Kneel down and apologize and I'll spare your life. Tu Ming glanced indifferently at Lin Yi and said. He was extremely calm, as if nothing in this world mattered to him. Even if the young man in front of him defeated Tuda, he did not care at all. Because to him, Lin Yi was like a slightly bigger grasshopper. His name was a divine dragon. Would the divine dragon care about the strength of a grasshopper? Little brother Lin Yi. Murong Lingling was really panicking this time. Everyone in the Heavenly Sea sect knew how powerful Tu Ming was. She could ignore Tuda, but she could not do anything about Tuda. Of course, it was impossible for anyone to threaten her life, but she couldn't protect Lin Yi. However, it was obviously impossible for Lin Yi to kneel down and apologize. Not only would Lin Yi not agree, but she also wouldn't agree. If I had a choice, I would kneel down and apologize. Does Tu Ming really dare to kill Lin Yi? For a super genius like Tu Ming, even if he kills Lin Yi, the Heavenly Sea sect will turn a blind eye to it. Although Lin Yi is very powerful and can be compared to Tuda, he is on a completely different level compared to Tu Ming. The experts in the square knew how powerful Tu Ming was. Seeing that Tu Ming did not want to let Lin Yi go, they felt that Lin Yi was doomed this time. They were helpless against Tu Ming. They could not defeat him. They could only kneel down and apologize. Everyone looked at Lin Yi in unison. They wanted to know what Lin Yi would choose. In this world where the strong were respected, no one thought that Tu Ming's actions were excessive. As long as you were strong enough, everything you did was right and proper, and everything you did was reasonable. The bigger the fist, the more reason. The stronger the strength, the more reason. Silence. Silence. The hundreds of thousands of people in the square quietened down at this moment. Kind people get bullied. A kind horse is being ridden. I let him go this time because he is a disciple of the Heavenly Sea sect. So I was wrong. Because you are too despicable. If I don't beat you up, you will always think that you are so great. Since you said so, I will cripple you today and spare your life. In Lin Ye's eyes, Murong Lingling was anxious and helpless. She looked so pitiful and pitiful. At this moment, he understood something. In this world where the strong were respected, the law of the jungle was followed. Luo Bingyue was right. It was not good to keep a low profile. A kind person would be bullied by others, and a kind horse would be ridden by others. If you were weak, wouldn't everyone want to step on your head? As the saying went, if you were not arrogant, you would be wasting your youth. His eyes were emotionless as he looked at the tall Tu Ming. His cold voice was not loud, but it reached the ears of countless experts. Suddenly, the quiet square was filled with shocked voices. The experts in the square were in an uproar. They looked at Lin Yi as if he was a monster. Arrogant, domineering, this was the image of Lin Yi in the hearts of all the experts. Facing Tu Ming, Lin Yi was as arrogant as ever. His arrogance was boundless. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect that Lin Yi would provoke Tu Ming instead of kneeling down and apologizing. His words were not targeted at anyone because he was targeting all the geniuses. The last sentence was directed at Tu Ming. He wanted to cripple Tu Ming and spare his life. He was confident, full of confidence. You have a bit of strength. But your arrogance is 1,000 times stronger than your strength. Today, as a senior brother of the Heavenly Sea sect, I will teach you how to behave. Tu Ming was also surprised. In his opinion, asking Lin Yi to kneel down and spare his life was already an extra favor. If it was in the past, he would not spare anyone. If it were anyone else, they would definitely kneel down and apologize. However, Lin Yi in front of him not only did not appreciate his kindness, but also provoked him. He was so arrogant that he felt the anger in his heart rising rapidly. Well, you can make your move. I look forward to you teaching me how to behave. A smile appeared on Lin Ye's face. He gently squeezed Murong Lingling's little hand and gave her an encouraging and comforting look. He turned around and walked toward Tu Ming. From the beginning to the end, he was calm and did not feel the slightest pressure. Lin Ye's actions made countless people feel that it was unreal. Looking at his actions, was he really going to fight with Tu Ming? Was this a joke? Brother Lin, you can do it. Ling Si, who was on the other side, did not want to die. She shouted loudly, cheering for Lin Yi. Her voice caused the expressions of countless spectators to change. This little elf girl was too ignorant. Lin Yi was up against the name on the screen, yet she was still cheering for him. They really didn't know what she was thinking. Tu Ming, be careful. On the Tianhai Square, several elders who were in charge of the disciple recruitment said. They knew that they could not stop Tu Ming, so they could only let him go. However, they still reminded Tu Ming to be careful and not to kill Lin Yi. After all, Lin Yi was a decent talent. More importantly, if Tu Ming were to kill his own junior brother in front of the geniuses participating in the assessment, it would reflect badly on the Tianhai sect. Elder Song, I won't argue with a little guy. Tu Ming naturally knew that the elders of the Tianhai sect did not want to lose a genius. They did not want the Tianhai sect to be negatively affected. Although they could not kill Lin Yi, they could teach Lin Yi a lesson and make him regret being born. Elder Song, as long as he can take 2 of my moves, I will spare his life. Lin Yi smiled faintly. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.